This page is the front cover of Dreamcast Magazine Volume 2, dated November 27, 1998, priced at 420 yen. The main headline screams, "Dreamcast latest information. This single volume reveals everything," promising a Dream Mega present over 4 consecutive issues. Featured prominently are upcoming Dreamcast titles, including the highly anticipated Project Berkeley, which we now know as Shenmue, along with Virtua Fighter 3 TB, Sonic Adventure, and Aerodancing featuring Blue Impulse. It also mentions Dreamcast new information, alongside Kishin Sekai, Evolution, known internationally as Evolution, the World of Sacred Device, stating a July release. Further down, it teases Atlas Speaks, Dreamcast latest work, and a new outfit public trial commemorative dialogue, Second Bullet, featuring Nakamura Koichi vs. Yamashita Akira, likely developer interviews. The bottom section highlights Sega Saturn content, declaring Sega Saturn new information also perfect follow, including a Sega Saturn software thorough strategy complete guide for Virtua Cop S and Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. Finally, it mentions Sega Saturn latest software fully loaded, including He's Winning Post 3 Program 98 and Etude Prologue Fluttering Heart Shape. The cover image features a large polygonal rendering of Sonic the Hedgehog's head. This page is showcasing the horror adventure game D. The page highlights the terrifying atmosphere of the game with the tagline, "Something terrifying lies beneath the frozen soil in Canada, and now it is awake." Screenshots depict the game's eerie environments and characters' in tense situations, hinting at the suspense and chilling narrative found within D. This page is focused on the game D2 for the Dreamcast. The page prominently features the title D2 in large red letters and states D2 runs under Dreamcast. The collage of images surrounding the title are screenshots from the game showcasing various scenes and characters within D2. The Warp logo is also visible, confirming Warp as the game's developer. This page is a preview for the Dreamcast game Seventh Cross, a biology evolution simulation RPG. The game utilizes SOM artificial life neurotechnology and showcases the graphic capabilities of the Dreamcast, offering a survival experience in a world of evolution controlled by the player. Screenshots show gameplay and in-game menu screens displaying character stats and game information. The game was scheduled for release in Japan on December 23, 1998, for a price of 5,800 yen, excluding tax. The website provided for more information is http://www.nihit.gr.jp/. This page is an advertisement for the Dreamcast game Sengoku Turb, described as an advanced action role-playing adventure. The advert promotes the game as taking place in a cute, surreal, and mysterious Turb world. It features a lonely girl wandering the universe, caught in a cat versus sheep battle on planet Ryan, boasting 1,000,000 polygons. The screenshots showcase the game's cartoonish 3D graphics and characters. The game is scheduled for release on January 14, 1999, and is priced at 5,800 yen, excluding tax. The publisher is NEC Home Electronics, and their website address is provided. It appears to be a Japan-only release. This page is a contents page for Dreamcast Magazine Volume 2, dated November 27, 1998. It lists articles inside, including a new publication commemoration dialogue, a special interview, and a Dreamcast special feature. Game previews include Project Berkeley, which became Shenmue, Virtua Fighter 3 TB, Sonic Adventure, Tetris 4D, and Aerodancing featuring Blue Impulse. There's also Dreamcast hot information on the game Evolution, known internationally as Evolution, the World of Sacred Device, slated for July release. Additionally, there's a Dreamcast Now section featuring Atlas, and a completion commemoration special project covering Penguin Land Izron, known as Penguin Wars internationally. This page is the contents page for Weekly Sega Saturn magazine. It highlights the launch of Dreamcast Magazine and a special gift campaign to celebrate. The page lists upcoming games, new releases, and complete game guides featured in this issue for both Sega Saturn and Dreamcast. Games mentioned include Aerodancing featuring Blue Impulse, Sonic Adventure, Virtua Fighter 3 TB, Shenmue, which was known as Project Berkeley at the time, and Panzer Dragoon Legend, which was known as Illbleed at the time. There are also regular features listed such as news, data, reader submissions, and columns. This page is an advertisement for a Dreamcast Magazine 4th issue anniversary giveaway. It's called a Dream Big Super Present and lists several prizes related to the Dreamcast. Prize A is a visual memory unit. 100 units are being given away. Prize B is a racing controller with 30 units available. Good for racing games like Sega Rally 2. Prize C is an arcade stick with 30 units available. Perfect for enjoying arcade-style games. Prize D is a Dreamcast keyboard with 20 units available, useful for communication features and internet. Prize E is Dreamcast software with 30 copies up for grabs. The screenshot shows a character from the game Time Stalkers. Prize Category 1 is an AM2 Research Institute image poster with 10 available, featuring artwork from Extreme Future. Prize Category 2 is an Akihabara Electric Brain Group keychain figure set, with 5 sets available featuring characters Hibari and Densuke from Akihabara Denu Gumi. Prizes F, G, H, I, and J are all Teleka cards, with 50 of each being given away. F and G are Sonic Adventure Teleka cards, showing Sonic the Hedgehog. H is a Virtua Fighter 3TB Teleka card, featuring a character from the game. I is a Sega Rally 2 inches Teleka card, showing a car from the game. J is a D-No Shokutaku 2 inches Teleka card, labeled Now Printing, hinting at a future reveal related to D-No Shokutaku 2. The next page showcases a Dreamcast Magazine prize giveaway. There are various prizes related to different games. For example, you could win Virtual on Oratorio Tangram mousepads, Sakura Wars 2 Thou Shalt Not Die collection figures, a Psychic Force 2012 official guidebook and badge, or a Rayman 2 The Great Escape poster. Other prizes include a Suketudara plush toy, Xenogears t-shirts, Idol Janshi Tsuchipai 2i signed CD sets, and a Gungriffin 2 inches cap. Further prizes on offer are Find Love 2 Rhapsody keychain figure sets, Gunblaze S clear files, and the Gunblaze S game software itself, along with a Tsukasa illustration art book. Finally, there are also telephone cards as prizes, featuring artwork from Sengoku Turb, Power Stone, Pen Pen Triicelon, and Blue Stinger. This page is showcasing various merchandise and games as prizes in a giveaway. Items include a Pia Carrot Yukoso system notebook, a Devil Summoner, Soul Hackers original soundtrack CD, and a Capcom secret file, possibly related to Street Fighter Alpha 3. There's a Virtual Call S mini mousepad, a Grandia letter set, and DX Nihon Tokyo Ryoko game software, a Japan Bullet Train travel simulation game. Other prizes are a Langrisser CD protection mat, a Cotton Unomi teacup, Kyan Bunny Premiere 2 inches clear file and special poster, and a Kyan Bunny Premiere 2 Plus Extra Software 3 game set. Lastly, Game de Seishun software, a youth in-game board game, is also listed. At the bottom, it mentions that these prizes are for issue 4, and there are 50 winners in total. The prizes are also listed with images of telephone cards featuring characters or games such as Climax Landers, Puyo Puyon, The King of Fighters 98, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and a Dreamcast mascot. This page is showcasing a Dreamcast Magazine 4th issue celebration with a super prize giveaway. There are 15 different prizes up for grabs, supplied by various game companies. Prizes include merchandise, such as a High School Terra Story jacket sleeve set featuring illustrations of the heroines, a Langrisser V The End of Legend 300-piece jigsaw puzzle, an Ayakashi illustration, and a special poster for Azure Colored Snow, featuring the main character, Azure. There's also an Umi Ningen set of goods featuring the mascot character Umi Ningen, and an official fan club wall clock for Find Love 2 Rhapsody. Music fans can win the Idol Janshi Tsuchipai Special Limited Edition 5th Anniversary Package, featuring Ariyoshi Kasahara on CD. Clothing items include a Grandia t-shirt with character illustrations. For collecting, there are Virtual Call S clear posters, and Power Memory seals, and a Langrisser clear file set. Game software is also offered as prizes, with one winner getting Tenet Wars software, a board game style title. Baroque fans can win stickers and postcard sets. Finally, for PC gamers, there is Setagata Saburo Super Jin Densetsu, a PC digital software title released by Sega. To enter the giveaway, readers need to fill out the questionnaire enclosed in the magazine and send it in by November 27th. Winners will be announced in the 98 Volume 5 issue. This page reports on Sega Managing Director Yugawa receiving the Best Television Commercial Award at the 38th ACC All Japan CM Festival for the commercial A Town's Voice. Several other Sega commercials also received awards in different categories, including Life is Retirement, Setagaya Siblings Message Examinee, and World Cup Sega Keeper. The award ceremony was held on November 4th in Tokyo and was attended by Yugawa and other Sega representatives, including Yasushi Akimoto. Yugawa stated that he hoped this award would bring further attention to the upcoming launch of the Dreamcast. This news is from Dreamcast Magazine weekly news called Landmark. This page reports on Yugawa Senmu winning the Most Excellent TVCM award, and that he mentions plans for future commercials with Akimoto-san and Densuzan. The article also mentions a new Dreamcast commercial series featuring Yugawa Senmu is currently airing, highlighting the Dreamcast's specs. It is also announced that Johnny's Jr. Hideaki Takizawa will co-star with Yugawa Senmu in a Dreamcast commercial. In software news, the release date for Sega Rally 2 Feet has been changed to January 14, 1999, due to the need for more time to prepare for online battles. Finally, Yugawa Senmu is making a CD debut singing a song about Dreamcast, with the CD scheduled to release on November 25th, and the track is a campaign song intended to appeal to men. A Christmas event, Sakura and Christmas Together, will be held at Ikebukuro Gigo in Tokyo from November 28th to December 25th, featuring decorations and limited goods. Prior to this, an antique fair will take place at the same venue from November 14th. The Sakura Wars OVA series, Sakura Taisen Uka Kenrin, is releasing on DVD on December 18th with bonus content. Dreamcast fans can get a special Dreamcast launch commemorative passport at Tokyo and Yokohama Joyopolis from December 1st to 18th. Neon Genesis Evangelion DVD, Volume 6 inches arrives on November 27th, with episodes 21 to 24 and new scenes. Tokyo Joyfopolis will host a boat race Grand Prix event on November 23rd. A campaign for Compile Games celebrating Pocket Puyo Puyo Sun runs from November 27, 1998 to January 15, 1999, offering Puyo plush toys as prizes. Finally, Bandai is launching OTOGE, a portable headphone-based sound game in late November. This page is showcasing a variety of adverts. Firstly, there is an advert for a PC game called Monarch, and they are giving away free trial versions to 20 people. Next to this, there is an advert for a Docomo Original Desk Calendar, featuring ACC Talent Award winner Kyoka Suzuki. Below, there is an advert for a golf tournament event called Nissan All-Star Charity Golf, and an advert for the Nifty Serve Christmas campaign for 1998, offering luxurious presents via their website. Finally, there are a series of music CD adverts featuring artists like Nanase Aikawa for Lovin' You, Aldatni.co for Hareta Owari, Raiko Mirai for Umi to Mirai to Kini to no Monogatari, Fat Kenmoriokaa, SYS East River, Kiyoshiro Imakano for Grapefruit, and Shizuka Kudo for The Best Love Ballad Current. The bottom section details how to apply for the presents mentioned in the magazine. There are no Dreamcast or Saturn games mentioned on this page. The next page is an advert for the official guidebook for Virtual on Oratorio Tangram on Sega Saturn. This guide promises to teach players the basic battle methods for the game, covering all 11 mecha, controls, attack techniques, and strategies for both single-player against the CPU and versus battles. It also features interviews with Virtual On producer Juro Watari. The guidebook is priced at 1,500 yen and was scheduled for release in mid-November with 224 pages. This page is a special interview feature titled Dreamcast The New Generation Begins, with Yamashita Akira from Studio Event staff and Nakamura Koichi from Chunsoft. They are discussing the Dreamcast and its potential impact on the gaming industry, reflecting on the evolution of video games from the PC era to home consoles. Yamashita mentions being impressed by the visuals of Sonic Adventure at its announcement, highlighting the excitement of enjoying such graphics at home. Nakamura recalls working on Street and Street 2 Inches, and expresses interest in creating games for the Dreamcast, mentioning the Saturn version of Street 1. They discuss the Dreamcast as a powerful and appealing console, noting Sega's history and experience in the hardware market. They admire Sega's approach to learning from past consoles and creating a strong platform for developers. The conversation suggests optimism and excitement for the Dreamcast's future and its ability to bring a new generation of gaming experiences. This page is a special Dreamcast launch countdown interview featuring Akira Yamashita from Studio Bent Stuff. The discussion revolves around the Dreamcast being a stimulating force in the games industry, focusing on its online capabilities and the new ways to play that it will bring. Yamashita and Nakamura talk about how Dreamcast, with its built-in modem, will allow players to connect and enjoy new forms of gameplay, including downloading game data and playing online. The VMU, Visual Memory Unit, referred to as a PDA, is highlighted as a key feature for transferring game data on the go. The interview touches upon the potential of network games, emphasizing communication and community aspects. Games like Virtua Fighter and Puyo Puyo are mentioned as examples, with the idea of online tournaments and ranking systems being discussed. A screenshot of Virtua Fighter 3TB is visible. The Dreamcast controller and VMU are also shown and evaluated, praised for their potential in expanding game possibilities, even at a Tamagotchi level, hinting at simple yet engaging gameplay. Yamashita envisions a future where online gaming is easily accessible at home, offering new gaming experiences. This discussion between Sega's Akira Yamashita and Chunsoft's Koichi Nakamura focused on the new generation of gaming, particularly online experiences and the Dreamcast's future. Yamashita emphasized Sega's commitment to supporting smaller developers with innovative online game ideas, using Pokémon as an example of successful communication-based gameplay. They discussed the potential of Dreamcast's visual memory and Sega's arcade expertise for future collaborations. Nakamura mentioned Chunsoft's current focus on porting sound novels to PlayStation, including Kamaitachi no Yoru and Machi, with a significantly renewed Machi for PlayStation. He revealed Kamaitachi no Yoru, 2 inches for Sega Saturn, planned for a Dreamcast port later. Both expressed optimism for the Dreamcast, highlighting its communication features, visual memory, and NAOMI arcade board integration as key strengths, while acknowledging rapid technology adoption. This page is an interview with Toshihiro Kizuka from Sega Muse, discussing the Dreamcast launch and initial sales projections. Kizuka highlights the unexpectedly high demand for the Dreamcast, exceeding initial forecasts of around 150,000 units. Pre-orders on October 20th reached 50,000 units, and by October 21st, total pre-orders across approximately 5,000 stores nationwide had surpassed 500,000 units. Due to issues with the yield rate of NEC's graphic chips, specifically the percentage of functional chips produced, Sega is facing potential shortages at launch. Kizuka mentions they initially planned for 200,000 units for the pre-order campaign, but now anticipate being able to prepare 1 million units by March. However, he notes that ideally, they would have preferred to sell 1 million units within the year, but supply constraints are pushing back the availability. He estimates that around 500,000 units might be available for the year. The interview touches on Sega's distribution strategy, focusing on zero-distance sales, minimizing delays and disappointment for customers. He concludes by stating, "It is still unclear how many units can be made available by the end of the year, but they are investigating at NEC's Kumamoto factory." The page also shows a picture of the Dreamcast retail box. The next page is an interview with Kiro Tezuka, discussing the launch plans for the Dreamcast. Pre-orders are set to begin on November 19th at Digicube-affiliated convenience stores, ahead of the November 27th release date. The interview addresses concerns about stock shortages, referencing lessons learned from the Saturn era. They aim to have 1 million Dreamcast units available by March of the following year, emphasizing a more controlled distribution system through direct sales and select retail outlets to ensure product availability when people want to buy. Dreamcast Magazine showcased the top 30 most anticipated upcoming Dreamcast games, as voted by readers. Grandia 2, an RPG, topped the list, followed by Virtua Fighter 3TB, a fighting game emphasizing impressive graphics, and Sega Rally 2, a racing game experiencing a slight delay. Sonic Adventure was featured as the weekly pickup, highlighting its KO characters and detailed gameplay, while Tetris 4D was spotlighted in Coming Soon for its classic gameplay and 4-player battle mode. The full list included a diverse range of genres, featuring titles like Sonic Adventure, again at number 4, Virtual-on Oratorio Tangram, Resident Evil Code, Veronica, Shenmue, Project Berkeley, and many others across fighting, RPG, racing, and puzzle categories. This ranking underscored the exciting and varied game library anticipated for the Dreamcast. This page showcases two different top game rankings. The first ranking is the Port Request Top 20, which lists games readers want to see ported to the Dreamcast. Top titles include Final Fantasy series, Sakura Wars series, Metal Gear Solid, Black Matrix, Super Robot Wars series, Soul Calibur, Street Fighter 03, Dragon Quest series, Daytona USA 2, Battle on the Edge, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Shin Megami Tensei series, and Virtua Striker 2 Ver 98. The page highlights Shin Megami Tensei series at 11th place and Spike Out at 19th, with screenshots and short descriptions, mentioning that Spike Out is gaining popularity as a 3D action game. The second ranking is the Video Game Income Ranking, Top 15 inches for arcade games. Leading this chart is Virtua Striker 2 Ver 98, followed by Virtua Fighter 3 TB, Street Fighter 03, Cyber Troopers Virtual Oratorio Tangram, The King of Fighters 98, Spike Out, Soul Calibur, Beat Mania 3rd Mix, Tekken 3, Daytona USA 2, Battle on the Edge, Sega Rally 2, Dynamite Deca 2, Die Hard Arcade 2, Dead or Alive++, Psychic Force 2012, and The House of the Dead. Street Fighter 03 is featured as the weekly pickup in 3rd place, noting its continued popularity and the expanded gameplay options compared to previous versions. Shuku Senki Kakayo, Cyberbots, Full Metal Madness, is also highlighted in 19th place, praising its graphics and character design. This document presents the Dreamcast release schedule, starting in November 1998. November software included titles like Godzilla Generations and Virtua Fighter 3 TB. December highlights featured Sonic Adventure and Tetris 4D. January 1999 saw releases such as Sega Rally 2 and Blue Stinger. February and March featured titles like Aerodancing and Cool Borders. Spring '99 was planned for Buggy Heat and Project Berkeley, Shenmue, while August and December were slated for games like Entertainment Golf and Shenryu 2. Unannounced software included titles like Rayman 2, Resident Evil Code, Veronica, and Grandia 2. Among numerous others. Dreamcast hardware launched on November 27, 1998, with the console and accessories like the visual memory and arcade stick. Future hardware included a fishing controller and rumble pack. Other related products, such as Mosura Dream Battle and Gamera Dream Battle, utilized the visual memory unit. This page is a special report about Yu Suzuki's latest project, Project Berkeley, which is actually the working title for what would become Shenmue. The article announces a special preview disc for Dreamcast owners, set to be released on November 27th. This disc, named VF3TB, is teased as containing a prologue to the grand project, and will offer the first look at the game's imagery. Yu Suzuki himself is featured, talking about the project, and how this special disc will give players a taste of the game. The article mentions that the full reveal of Project Berkeley is planned for a presentation event on December 20th, at Pacifico, Yokohama. The special disc reportedly includes information about this event as well. The article emphasizes the significance of this project as the culmination of Suzuki's 15 years of experience in game development and highlights the high expectations for this new title. The page also shows an image of the Project Berkeley preview disc with a unique artwork and the Dreamcast logo, alongside a screenshot from Virtua Fighter 3 TB to visually represent the VF3TB aspect of the disc's title. Although the content is primarily focused on Project Berkeley, it explains that while the GDROM disc uses artwork that resembles promotional visuals of Virtua Fighter 3 TB, the content is focused on showcasing Project Berkeley. Suzuki is quoted saying that he hopes even those unfamiliar with games will enjoy the special disc. This page is an article about Yu Suzuki's latest project, then titled Project Berkeley, tentative name, which we know as Shenmue. It features a prominent image of the game's heroine, a rough sketch revealed by AM2 Research and Development. The article announces a large-scale advertising campaign using station posters starting from November 20th, with further posters planned for December 20th. Yu Suzuki explains that Project Berkeley is a full-action game with a focus on detailed perspectives, distinguishing it from titles like Virtua Fighter. He emphasizes the game's design for accessibility, aiming to be easy to play for a wide audience, including children and older players, unlike more technically demanding games. Suzuki highlights the importance of simple controls to ensure players can easily enjoy the game's content and appreciate the beautiful graphics and visual presentation made possible by the Dreamcast hardware. The character is described as the main heroine, a mysterious woman with an air of the continent, showcasing the visual beauty of the game. This page talks about the upcoming game Project Berkeley, which we now know as Shenmue. Revealing the heroine and highlighting it will bring new hope and relief to the world. The interview with Yu Suzuki discusses how the game uses cutting-edge technology and aims to create a world-standard theme, going beyond just Japan. It mentions that Project Berkeley is like a spiritual successor to Virtua Fighter, and talks about the special disc being bundled with Virtua Fighter Kids for Dreamcast on November 27th, with a presentation event on December 20th. The page also shows images of in-game objects described as bidama, marble, saikoro, dice, and ishi, stone, hinting at the latest technology being used even in the gameplay elements and asking players to consider how these items might be used in the game, as well as confirming that these are actual in-game assets. This page announces the upcoming release of Virtua Fighter 3 TB for Dreamcast, scheduled for November 27th. It highlights that all 12 characters from the arcade version will be included, showcasing the game as the highest quality port from AM2 to date, bringing the cutting-edge Model 3 arcade graphics to home consoles. The page introduces Ayui Umenokoji as a new character in this version, detailing her elegant fighting style and emphasizing the beautiful rendition of her kimono and movements thanks to the Dreamcast's graphical capabilities. Screenshots compare the character models and in-game visuals, demonstrating the improved graphical fidelity over previous versions. The special report section boasts a 98% completion rate, signaling the game is nearly finished and ready for release, priced at 5,800 yen as a 3D fighting game. The page also mentions that the Dreamcast version is very close to being finished, with graphic quality significantly improved, and promises to deliver the latest information to readers quickly. This page is focused on Virtua Fighter 3 TB, highlighting its final check before release in just 14 days. The page announces Weekly Check, covering the game's 12 characters and stages, which are now fully revealed. It also mentions the advice demo being completely finished for the game. A key highlight is the new character Dural, described as semi-transparent, and a new generation bipedal weapon, enhanced with reflective light effects. Screenshots show in-game action with Dural in a bonus stage, and details on 1P and 2P character colors, demonstrating the graphical capabilities of the Dreamcast port and the complete port from the Model 3 arcade board. It mentions how Dural becomes more transparent as her health decreases, which is faithfully reproduced in the Dreamcast version. The next page is a preview for Virtua Fighter 3 TB on Dreamcast, highlighting it as a perfect port of the arcade game. It emphasizes the graphical improvements and the exciting gameplay elements that are faithfully reproduced from the arcade version. The preview focuses on the new stage called Island for Jeffrey, praising its beautiful light contrast and island setting surrounded by the ocean. The page also showcases key gameplay features, like impressive camera work and replays, the importance of reading your opponent's moves, and utilizing the stage terrain strategically during battles. There's a section titled Player's View, featuring comments from two individuals, London Kobayashi and Manthe Southern Shark, discussing their impressions of the Dreamcast version. They express surprise and excitement about the game's visual quality, comparing it favorably to the Model 3 arcade board, and highlighting the improvements in graphics and colors. They seem genuinely impressed with the Dreamcast port and its potential. This page is dedicated to a thorough check of the Dreamcast version of Virtua Fighter 3 TB. It highlights several key features. Firstly, it mentions angulation, hidden winning poses, and utilizing the terrain in battles. Then, it talks about using walls to create new scenarios, and how aerial combos lead to new continuous techniques called bound. Lastly, it emphasizes using escape moves to create three-dimensional offensive and defensive strategies. The page introduces the Snowfield stage as a major highlight for Virtua Fighter 3 TB, specifically for AoE. It details stage production checks, including how water friction calculations are ported, showcasing realistic water flow and splashes when characters step into rivers. It also mentions the deep falling snow effect on the stage, which is purely visual and doesn't affect gameplay, although under certain conditions snow may stop falling. The page includes profile sections featuring London Kobayashi, a former writer for VF1 and VF2 articles, who is now part of the Dream Maga editorial team for VF3, noting his Jack Beatty expertise. The other profile is for Man the Satan Shark, who describes himself as a Virtua Fighter fighting machine and arcade player, mentioning subtle differences in combos due to positioning, and that input timings for moves like the Torkick Splash Mountain are the same as in the arcade version. He also mentions the Devil Reverse Throw has been fixed, and expresses his excitement to play the final version, and that his favorite character, Jeffrey, is the strongest. This page is a character introduction for Akira Yuki in Virtua Fighter 3 TB, emphasizing his aggressive fighting style as the best defense. The page highlights 3 key points about Akira: his powerful pushing attacks that initiate offense, his versatile aerial combos, and his weakness to evasive movements. Akira excels at rushing down opponents and overwhelming them. The page describes his characteristic techniques, which involve utilizing guard breaks and dash attacks to close the distance, followed by powerful strikes and throws. It also mentions moves that change damage output based on distance, suggesting strategic depth in his close-range combat. Several move categories are detailed, including representative upper, middle, and lower attacks, escape techniques, throws, decisive moves, and counter techniques. Examples of moves are shown with button inputs and brief descriptions of their usage, such as opening as an upper attack, divine door top thrust as a middle attack, and sweeping foot sweep as a lower attack. Throws like forward tumble throw and large outer wheel are also mentioned. The page also touches on decisive techniques like elbow top thrust and counter techniques like outer gate top thrust. The story and playstyle section describes Akira as a practitioner of Hakioken, focusing on aggressive close-quarters combat. It briefly touches on his backstory of pursuing ultimate strength and entering the Third World Fighting Tournament. The playstyle advice reinforces his rushdown nature and constant offensive pressure. Kage Maru from Virtua Fighter 3 TB is a speed-focused character known for his tricky techniques. His fighting style emphasizes rapid attacks and combos, utilizing moves like stealth drop to pressure opponents. He excels in quick mid-level attacks and possesses versatile techniques, including throws and ring-outs. Signature moves include scattering bullet, upper attack, ground run, lower attack, spin parry, counter escape, Izuna drop, throw, and small hand return, reversal. Decisive throws like Kurasami and missed hidden flurry inflict significant damage. Kage Maru's story revolves around rescuing his mother from the Dural organization and the Duralization side effect, motivating his participation in the tournament. His aggressive playstyle relies on quick hits, combos, and ring-outs. Kage Maru is Japanese, born on June 6, 1970, blood type B, a ninja, and enjoys mahjong. This page focuses on strategies for Jackie Bryant in Virtua Fighter 3 TB. It highlights Jack Keaty's strengths, as his powerful combinations and bound combos are plentiful, suggesting players utilize these. The page advises on ring-out strategies, using aerial combos, and pushing opponents off the stage. Jackie's signature techniques are discussed, recommending an evade and counter approach. Several of Jackie's moves are showcased, categorized by attack type: representative high attack, spinning back knuckle, left pointing arrow P; representative middle attack, dash hammer kick, right pointing arrow K; representative low attack, leg slicer, down pointing arrow K plus G; escape attack, middle spin kick, left pointing arrow K plus G; finishing move, lightning crush storm, 2 P plus K plus KK; special step, switch step, down pointing arrow is lined. The somersault kick is emphasized as a key finishing move, effective on both normal and counter hits. Throw techniques are also featured, including sadistic hanging knee, right pointing arrow P plus G, face crusher, P plus G for back throw, and wall face crush, P plus G for wall throw. Finally, a brief story and playstyle description for Virtua Fighter is included, along with a key for understanding the move inputs: P for punch, K for kick, G for guard, E for evade, and plus indicating simultaneous button presses. This page features a character spotlight on Sarah Bryant from Virtua Fighter 3 TB. It details her fighting style, emphasizing her beauty and strength, showcasing her techniques and strategies. The article highlights her reliance on strike attacks, especially mid and low single strikes, utilizing moves like double joint bat and sweep kick for aggressive offense. It also discusses her counter-attacking style, leveraging techniques like rising knee from backdashes or quick evasions to punish opponents' moves. Sarah's reach is also emphasized, with moves like elbow and torque jackknife kick being effective. The page then breaks down Sarah's signature moves into categories like representative combinations, such as the combo somersault kick; representative middle attacks, like the torque jackknife and elbow heel sword; representative low attacks, such as the sweep low kick; representative throw techniques like leg hold throw; decisive catch throw like rolling face crash; and representative movement techniques like moonsault. Each move is presented with button inputs and a brief description of its purpose and effectiveness in combat. Finally, the story and playstyle section provides context, mentioning that after the second tournament, Sarah, who had amnesia, encountered Jackie again. Unable to live together due to her memory loss, she lives alone in New York. Through training, fragments of her memory return, motivating her to seek clues about her past and rejoin the tournament. The section concludes by suggesting players use rising knee and somersault kick for counterattacks to gain an advantage. This page is a strategy guide for Lao Chan in Virtua Fighter 3 TB. It highlights key aspects of his fighting style, emphasizing his strong aerial combos, effective punch combinations, and vulnerability to low attacks. The page details specific moves categorized as representative upper-level attacks, representative combination attacks, representative lower-level attacks, representative throwing techniques, and decisive throwing techniques. These are presented with button commands and screenshots demonstrating each move. The guide advises players to utilize Lao's powerful jump attacks and counterattacks to control the fight, and to be mindful of his weakness against low attacks. It also mentions his ability to dominate opponents with rush attacks. The page provides story and playstyle information, outlining Lao's narrative context within the game, mentioning he owns a restaurant and participates in tournaments. This page is a character spotlight for Pai Chan from Virtua Fighter 3 TB. It details her fighting style, emphasizing her speed and lightweight, making her adept at combos but vulnerable if caught. The page highlights key fighting techniques categorized by attack type, such as high attacks, mid attacks, low attacks, and down attacks, illustrating each with screenshots and command inputs. It also showcases 3 of her throwing techniques, with descriptions of how to execute them and their effects. The page concludes with a story and playstyle section, outlining Pai's background as an action star from Hong Kong, who uses her dance-like movements in combat, and her gameplay style, which revolves around mastering punch combinations and throws, and effectively utilizing counterattacks. This page focuses on Virtua Fighter 3 Team Battle, highlighting combo techniques starting from punches. The page introduces Wolf Hawkfield, a character from Canada, born on February 8, 1966, blood type O, occupation lumberjack, and hobby karaoke. His playstyle emphasizes powerful throws after guarding big moves, and using upper and lower punches for offense. The page details key techniques categorized as aim is short shoulder, which focuses on short shoulder attacks and combos, substantial throwing techniques, and powerful techniques like the axe lariat and neck cutter kick. It further breaks down Wolf's characteristic moves into representative upper-level attacks, such as the elbow bat and screw uppercut, representative medium-level attacks including the hook and reverse sledgehammer, representative lower-level attacks like the road dropkick and grizzly lariat, and representative throwing techniques such as the list rock throw and cyclone whip, and representative counter techniques like the capture shoot and front neck chance sleeper. A section advises players to remember ring-out locations to secure wins. Finally, the page touches upon Wolf's story, describing him as training in seclusion after admiring Akira, dreaming of a world in peril, and deciding to enter a tournament to understand the truth of his dream. The next page is a character spotlight focusing on Jeffrey McWild from Virtua Fighter 3 TB. It highlights his fighting style, emphasizing throws and strikes as core components of his gameplay. The page describes Jeffrey's strengths as having powerful throws that are difficult to escape, devastating wall throws, and versatile combo techniques. It also details some of Jeffrey's special moves categorized as representative upper attacks, representative middle attacks, representative lower attacks, escape attacks, and finishing moves, along with their command inputs and descriptions of their effects in battle. The page includes character data such as his nationality, Australia, birth date, February 20th, 1957, blood type A, and hobbies, reggae music, fishing. Finally, it concludes with a story and playstyle section explaining Jeffrey's background, stating he entered the Third World Fighting Tournament to secure funds to build a new ship after his previous tournament winnings were insufficient. His playstyle is described as using quick dashes to get close to opponents, overwhelming them with powerful two-hit strikes, and relying on his signature move, the Splash Mountain. Lion Rafael from Virtua Fighter 3 TB is a tricky and deceptive fighter known for his unpredictable Mantis Fist style. His strengths lie in low attacks, versatile movement, and reversal techniques, making him difficult for opponents to read. Lion effectively uses quick mid-level strikes and feints to control matches. His representative moves include rapid punch combinations for offense, jumping and spinning mid-level kicks for disruption, and sliding and sweeping low kicks for unbalancing opponents. He employs a backflip kick for escape, and powerful throws like the Flying Heaven double head throw for finishing. Lion's character profile reveals him as a French high school student born on December 24, 1979, with blood type AB and a hobby of knife collecting. His fighting style mimics the praying mantis, emphasizing tricky strategies with low attacks and agile movement to outmaneuver rivals. This page is a character spotlight for Shundi in Virtua Fighter 3 TB. It emphasizes Shundi's unique fighting style, centered around drinking sake to enhance his abilities. The page highlights that his greatest weapon is sake, increasing available techniques. It points out that normal movement and evasion are also techniques to be utilized effectively, and cautions about relying too much on sake drinking as it leaves openings. The article details Shundi's special moves, categorized into upper, middle, and lower attacks, escape techniques, special actions like drinking sake, and throw techniques, providing button commands and descriptions for each. The story and playstyle section mentions Shundi's background, stating he went missing during the second tournament to find a former disciple, and his participation in the third tournament to uncover the truth behind his disciple's involvement with an organization. The page encourages players to master Shundi's unique, sake-fueled fighting style, starting with learning his individual moves. This page is dedicated to the character Akoi Umeno Kouji from Virtua Fighter 3 TB on Dreamcast. It highlights her fighting style, focusing on techniques that compensate for her lack of raw power with speed and precision. The page details Aoi's character traits, including her date of birth and hobbies, and mentions that she is a high school student. The strategy section emphasizes using cancel moves and combos, reading opponent movements for counters, and utilizing her lightweight for unique aerial combos, although it warns about the risk of being comboed herself. It showcases some of Aoi's signature moves and techniques, with button commands and screenshots, categorized as representative combination techniques, representative inashi techniques, representative low attacks, representative throw techniques, and decisive throw techniques. These moves include combination attacks, evasive techniques, low strikes, and various throws. The page also includes a story and playstyle section describing Aoi as the successor of a famous dojo in Kyoto, who enters the World Fighting Tournament to test her skills. This page is dedicated to showcasing the character Takarashi from Virtua Fighter 3 TB, a title that remained exclusive to Japan. The page emphasizes the character's sumo wrestling style and powerful throws, highlighting how he can grab opponents mid-dash. It also details his strength in close combat and his vulnerability to guard breaks. The page further elaborates on Takarashi's signature moves. It describes his attack style as excelling in counter hits and launching opponents into the air for combos. There are sections dedicated to representative upper-level attacks, like the thrusting palm strike, representative middle-level attacks like the crush dragon, and representative lower-level attacks like the stomp. The page also presents finishing move examples, such as the cat paw scoop, and decisive throwing technique, examples like the small throw and shoulder throw. Finally, there's a story and playstyle section describing Takarashi as a champion sumo wrestler who left the sumo world after an incident in America, only to be invited to a world fighting tournament. The page concludes by emphasizing Takarashi's high basic fighting capabilities. This page focuses on a preview of Sonic Adventure, highlighting the Twinkle Park action stage set in Station Square. This highly anticipated action game from Sonic Team is just 5 weeks away from release. The article teases the relationship between Sonic and Amy Rose, playfully questioning if they are a lovey-dovey couple in this stage. Screenshots showcase the vibrant, neon-lit environments of Twinkle Park, and it's mentioned that players will utilize items within the game. The text also emphasizes the game as a major release for the Dreamcast. This page reveals a new action scene from Sonic Adventure, focusing on the Twinkle Park zone. Twinkle Park is introduced as a large theme park within Station Square, open day and night, currently offering a couple-free service. As an action stage, it features various attractions with action-oriented gameplay, set in a fantastical neon environment. The page highlights Sonic and Amy's date in the park due to the couple service, but they get separated, leading Sonic to search for Amy in Speed Highway. Attractions like a jet coaster and bowling are mentioned as examples of the gameplay offered in Twinkle Park. The screenshots showcase Sonic and Amy in the park environment and gameplay related to the attractions. This page introduces the Cow Garden feature in the upcoming Sonic Team game, highlighting it as a key aspect of the new A-Life artificial life system. Building upon concepts from Nights into Dreams, it explains that Chow are cute creatures that players can raise and interact with. The page details how to raise Chow in 4 points. First, it mentions obtaining Chow eggs found in adventure fields, and protecting animals from enemies in action stages, as these animals are essential for Chow's growth. Secondly, interacting with animals in the Chow garden by having Chow hold them is crucial, as Chow's abilities and appearance will be influenced by these interactions. Thirdly, the article explains the visual memory transfer feature, where players can take their favorite cow from the Chow garden to the visual memory unit. This allows for RPG-style communication with Chow outside of the main game, offering a deeper level of interaction. Finally, it mentions raising Chow outside, elaborating on the visual memory's RPG-like communication and Chow walking course selection, hinting at features like mail exchange with Chow and potential battles or trades with friends using the visual memory, making raising Chow a portable and social experience. This page is about the A-Life Chow system in Sonic Adventure. It delves into the secrets of Chow, focusing on their relationship with animals. The article explains that Eggman captures animals from around the world and integrates them into robots. By destroying these robots, players can rescue animals, which can then be introduced to the Cow Garden to influence cow development and abilities. Animals listed include a seal, penguin, elephant, another penguin, parrot, crane, lion, gorilla, rabbit, and deer. A section titled From Sonic Team includes a developer discussing how the KO system incorporates personality and communication, expanding on elements not possible in Nights into Dreams. They emphasize that raising Chow and interacting with friends Chow is a key enjoyment aspect, promising more details in future discussions. The page further explains Chow's 100 states, exploring the inherited abilities of Chow. It suggests players consider what abilities Chow can inherit from the listed animals, beyond obvious traits like flight from birds or swimming from marine animals. Examples are given. A lion-influenced Chow may develop a mane around its face and potentially carnivorous traits, while a parrot-influenced Chow might inherit mimicry skills and retain vibrant feather colors. The article encourages experimentation to discover new and unexpected abilities. The next page is an advertisement for Tetris 4D on Dreamcast, calling it the standard of puzzle games and a universal masterpiece coming to Dreamcast soon. It highlights the 3D graphics while retaining the classic Tetris gameplay. Developed by Beep, it's scheduled for release on December 23rd for 4,800 yen, supporting 1 to 4 players in puzzle mode and up to 4 players in battle mode. The ad details 2 game modes, Classic, which is single player, and Battle, for 2 to 4 players. It emphasizes the polygonized blocks and 3D graphics, stating that even backgrounds and pieces are made of polygons that disappear in a 3-dimensional way when lines are cleared. It is also highlighted that the multiplayer battle for up to 4 players is a standard feature of the Dreamcast. This page is about Tetris 4D on Dreamcast, showcasing both single-player and multiplayer modes. The classic mode is described as the basic single-player experience, where players aim for a high score and game over occurs when blocks reach the top. The page emphasizes the guideline system, which helps players see where blocks will land, aiding in precise stacking, especially for beginners. The battle mode supports 2 to 4 players, with up to 4 players able to play simultaneously on full-size playfields. It details the attacker and receiver mechanic in multiplayer, where players are randomly assigned roles, and attackers can send garbage blocks to receivers by clearing 2 or more lines. The roles are dynamic, switching during gameplay based on line clears, making battles more intense. This page is a special report for the Dreamcast game Aero Dancing, featuring Blue Impulse, known internationally as Aero Wings. This acrobatic flight simulation, developed by CRI and scheduled for release in February 1999, focuses on the Blue Impulse, the aerobatic demonstration team of the Japan Air Self-Defense Force. The preview highlights the game's blend of arcade-style gameplay with realistic flight simulation, made possible by the Dreamcast hardware. Players will experience aerial acrobatics as a member of Blue Impulse, with simple analog stick controls. The game features several modes, including Blue Impulse Mission, where you aim to become the team leader through completing missions. Sky Mission Attack offers minigame challenges to unlock new aircraft, and Free Flight Mode allows players to fly freely without restrictions, choosing any aircraft. Screenshots showcase formation flying with smoke trails over cityscapes, and the article mentions that the game will even reproduce the radio communication sounds used to give instructions to the pilots. The game promises to capture the thrill of flying in the sky in a unique and engaging way. This page showcases the upcoming Dreamcast title, Air Dancing, featuring Blue Impulse, highlighting its visually impressive scenery. The game boasts high-quality graphics, a key feature on the Dreamcast, and emphasizes the Sky Mission Attack mode, allowing players to fly against scenic backdrops. Various terrains are featured, including valleys with lush greenery and contrasting skies, dense cityscapes reminiscent of Tokyo, with detailed 3D buildings allowing for unrealistic flight paths, and island environments offering expansive sea and land views with ports and towns. The game also boasts an immersive cockpit view, adding to the realism, especially when flying through detailed environments like a city with recognizable landmarks such as Tokyo Tower. A special Blue Impulse mission is mentioned, introducing Air Force Base terrains, possibly modeled after Matsushima Base, for dedicated missions featuring the Blue Impulse aerobatic team and their T-4 aircraft. Other aircraft mentioned are the F-15DJ and F-4EJ Kai, indicating a variety of flyable planes. The game is presented as a visually stunning flight experience, taking full advantage of the Dreamcast's graphical capabilities. This page presents information on two aircraft featured in a Dreamcast game. The first is the T-4 medium-range trainer aircraft, a domestically produced, twin-engine jet trainer known as Dolphin, due to its shape. It's highlighted for its maneuverability and role as the initial aircraft in the game. The page mentions the cockpit view and the wide field of vision provided by the canopy. The Blue Impulse version of the T-4 is also featured, emphasizing its custom specifications for aerobatic displays, such as smoke tanks and enhanced maneuverability, which are recreated in the game. The second aircraft is the F-15DJ Eagle, described as the strongest fighter jet in domestic service and a key player in the game. It's praised for its high maneuverability, vertical takeoff capabilities, and powerful engine. The DJ designation is noted as indicating a two-seat version. The page emphasizes the attention to detail in recreating the cockpit views, highlighting differences between the standard T-4 and the Blue Impulse version, such as the inclusion of back mirrors, low-altitude warning lights, and smoke display indicators in the Blue Impulse variant. It stresses the realism achieved by faithfully recreating these details from real aircraft within the game. The next page showcases three types of military aircraft under the title Steel Wings. It begins with the F-86F Sabre, an early jet fighter that was active during the 1950s and 60s. It highlights its afterburner and its use by the initial Blue Impulse aerobatic team, including performances at events such as the Tokyo Olympics and Osaka Expo. The cockpit view section shows a screenshot emphasizing the dated instruments and narrow field of view. The second aircraft is the T-2 Advanced Trainer, Japan's first domestically produced supersonic jet trainer. It mentions its ability to be equipped with radar and Vulcan cannons for combat, and its use by the second-generation Blue Impulse. Another cockpit view section highlights the wide field of view from its cockpit. Lastly, the F-4EJ Kai Phantom II is featured as a representative jet fighter of the 1970s, used globally, including in America and Japan. The text notes its large production numbers, modernization, and current role as a support fighter, even though the F-15 has taken over as the main fighter. The cockpit view for this aircraft mentions the pillars in front of the canopy slightly obstructing the view. The page presents these aircraft as powerful machines with appealing capabilities. The next page is an interview with the staff of Aero Dancing, featuring Blue Impulse. The game is described as a flight simulation that emphasizes the enjoyment of flying itself. The interviewer asks about the development process. One of the developers, Chitose, from CRI Development Department, explains that they wanted to utilize the Dreamcast's visual and audio capabilities, choosing a flight game because they felt it was a genre that best showcased the hardware. They wanted to create something different from typical shooting games. They aimed for realism and a sense of actually controlling a plane. The team considered including acrobatic elements and settled on featuring the Blue Impulse aerobatic team. They mentioned that they initially considered including international aerobatic teams, but decided to focus on Blue Impulse to keep it uniquely Japanese. The interview touches on the game's realistic portrayal of sound, mentioning recording actual Blue Impulse performances and the challenge of recreating the sound accurately in the game. They also obtained cooperation from the Japan Air Self-Defense Force for the game's development. The developer emphasizes the feeling of manipulating the aircraft and hopes players will enjoy that aspect. The game features aerial acrobatics and city environments. This page is an interview with Toru Kujirai, Application Development Department Manager at CSK Research Institute, discussing the development of Aerodancing featuring Blue Impulse. The game aims to be realistic, but also enjoyable for players who want to easily shoot down enemies, presenting it as a challenge to balance realism with game balance. The interview mentions that the engine is being made by very knowledgeable people within the company, and that feedback was received from a former pilot who now creates flight simulators, praising the realism of the game's physics. The game is focused on acrobatics, particularly the recreation of smoke trails. They are aiming for a feeling never before seen in games, focusing on acrobat gameplay. CSK Research Institute is introduced as part of the CSK Group, the same group as Sega, and headed by the same president, Mr. Okawa. They have been involved in game development since the Mega Drive era, working on titles like Mobile Suit Gundam, Giran's Ambition for Saturn. They also work on multimedia technology. 2 screenshots are shown. One is from Riddle of Ruloria, a self-published title known for its variety of arcade-style content. The other screenshot is from Mobile Suit Gundam, Giran's Ambition, a strategy game based on the Gundam universe which allows players to experience the one-year war storyline. This page is a preview for the Dreamcast game Evolution to Far Off Promise. It's showcasing the latest age of this RPG, emphasizing the expansive adventure and world. The article highlights the game's mood, the vast dungeons, and the dramatic scenes, also mentioning the importance of sub-characters in adding depth to the story. The main character is described as Mag Launcher, a 16-year-old adventurer aiming to be a first-class explorer. He's portrayed as possessing the ability to decipher ancient civilization relics and using a versatile machine cipher. The text mentions he is easily angered, but determined to overcome any obstacles. The game details include a completion rate of 80%, and its developers are listed as Sega, ESP, and Sting. It was scheduled for release on December 23rd, priced at 5,800 yen, and is an RPG for one player only. The screenshots depict in-game environments, including dungeon interiors, and a world map. One screenshot caption describes a scenario where Mag is carefully examining cipher fragments. The text in the bottom right encourages readers to buy Evolution as a Christmas gift, suggesting it will be a hit. This page highlights the game Linear Canon. It seems to be set in ancient ruins with maze-like dungeons that change their structure every time you enter. These dungeons are found across a continent and feature diverse environments, from stone mazes reminiscent of ancient civilizations to futuristic passageways and even mushroom forests. Dangerous monsters and traps are found deep within these ruins, and it's suggested that monster attributes might change depending on the specific ruin you are exploring. The page introduces a heroine character who wields a giant hammer, which is also seen in actual battle scenes. She is described as a girl of unknown origin who arrived in Mag's town, and she has a friendly personality. The page also mentions Mag's cipher frame, and suggests it holds secrets connected to the game's title logo, and could be a key item related to the ancient setting. The dungeons themselves appear to have circular shapes, and may contain hidden gimmicks and traps, raising questions about what future awaits within them. This page is about the game Magatama, highlighting its dramatic and immersive world. It showcases the game's private houses, emphasizing that the buildings and characters are presented in real-life scale, set in a town called Banatown, reminiscent of a peaceful American countryside. The game focuses on exploration and puzzle solving related to an ancient civilization. The page also details Psy-Frame enhancement, where players can upgrade their Psy-Frame by visiting a mechanic. This involves a slot system to enhance abilities, suggesting deep customization options. Finally, it introduces dungeons as adventure spots, describing them as labyrinthine areas with varying structures, including underground and tower types, and hints at discovering a relic called Evulsia within these dungeons. There is also a character profile for Chain Gun, described as a rival adventurer who uses a launcher-type Psy-Frame. The page suggests he is a skilled adventurer and a rival to the main character. This page is focused on adventure spots within a Dreamcast game. It highlights cozy and heartwarming scenes featuring babies, lively town encounters, and essential shops like the reconstruction shop for upgrading your Psy-Frame. The Psy-Frame enhancement process involves battle experience combined with parts obtained in dungeons and the shop's unique techniques. 3 distinct locations are showcased: Descent, characterized by a starry sky theme; Heaven, presenting a mushroom forest environment; and Shade, an underground lake setting. The name Grenade also appears prominently on the page. This page delves into the details of the Societe from the game Grandia, an organization central to the adventurer's experience. It highlights the Société as a research institution that commissions adventurers to explore ancient ruins. The page details 3 key services offered by the Société: accepting job requests, providing information about ruins for adventurers to investigate, and appraising items discovered in dungeons. We see screenshots of in-game interactions at the Société, such as speaking to receptionist Nina Dana to take on quests. The preview introduces Pepperbox, a 24-year-old veteran adventurer, and explains gameplay mechanics like choosing ruins based on difficulty and the consequences of mission failure, which includes reputation loss and reduced rewards, although equipment is kept. The game features characters like Mag, Linnea, and Gray, suggesting a party-based RPG adventure focused on exploring and uncovering the mysteries of ancient civilizations. This page showcases a promotional comic for the Dreamcast game, Evolution, Eternal Dungeons. The comic is part 2 of a series, and it takes place in Panam Town, the game's setting. The announcer girl is introducing Panam Town, starting with the Société Academy, the largest building, described as a mysterious archaeological research institution where adventurers are hired to explore ruins and appraise treasures. We see the character Mag Launcher is in debt to the Academy for a staggering 54.38 million dinars. The comic also shows Chain's unique house, which is a converted large bus, highlighting its lived-in feel and suggesting that if Chain joins your party, her bush house might become accessible to the player. The bottom text is from Sting Wada of Sting and Neverland Company, jokingly mentioning the dire financial situation of the Mag family in the game, as in the previous comic strip. A screenshot of Evolution is also included. This page is a preview for the Dreamcast game 7th Cross, Evolution. It's marked as 100% complete and scheduled for release on November 27th, priced at 5,800 yen. The preview focuses on Episode 4, titled Journaux/Dean 2 Search, indicated as being 7/10 within the overall game structure. The text highlights that the story follows 2 protagonists, and this episode revolves around the core question of Joshua's revenge motive. The article reveals plot details involving NAX Pharmaceuticals and the search for a person named Journaux Dean 2. Screenshots showcase in-game environments and character interactions. There's also a section dedicated to Joshua's story, detailing his background as a person with unique abilities who was experimented on by Nax in his childhood and ultimately seeks revenge after betrayal from within the Nax group led by Jenna Rayburn. The story mentions a bus bombing incident and Joshua investigating the mansion of a man named Yada, who is connected to Journaux Dean 2. This page is a game preview that appears to be for an adventure game with visual novel elements. The chapter is titled Mysterious Girl and Encounters, and follows the character Joshua as he investigates Giorno. Joshua visits Down's hotel, but Giorno has already checked out, so Joshua finds a memo and a phone number for a junk shop in the trash. He then goes to the junk shop after finding documents labeled sexless. Joshua encounters a girl named Patty, who is described as a sexless body. The story seems to revolve around Joshua's revenge, as indicated by a revenge list, and screenshots referencing his targets and the completion of his revenge after dealing with 3 more people. The screenshots show dialogue and character portraits with a date of July 11, 1999 within the game. This page details July, a game where the story revolves around Joshua and Patty seeking companions. Patty, feeling close to Joshua, desires to act together again, and through her cooperation, they are trying to figure out Giorgino's whereabouts and rescue a girl. They are planning to infiltrate Nax Heavy Industries under the cover of darkness, as it's heavily guarded. The page highlights the NAX Heavy Industries infiltration battle scenario, indicating that it's difficult to simply infiltrate, as security is tight after Giorno's death. The facility is described as heavily guarded and armed, creating a tense infiltration scenario. It also introduces the zapping system, where 2 stories, Joshua's and Kazuki Makoto's, progress simultaneously. This system allows players to experience the story from 2 different perspectives, influencing each other. Kazuki Makoto is introduced as another protagonist, a 19-year-old university student who lost his sister in a bus bombing incident. He is searching for a mysterious MO and a kidnapped girl named Eriko, linking his story to NX Heavy Industries. The next page is a preview for the game July, focusing on a chapter titled Chapter 7, Newspaper Reporter Mishima's Death, and dated July 13th within the game's timeline. The game is described as a thrilling revenge drama where the curtain has not yet fallen, The preview introduces several new characters including George de Nacchini, an 18-year-old self-proclaimed Italian environmental protection activist working at NAC's main office, who dislikes personal contact. Oh Wu, the owner of a junk shop in Electric Town, seemingly struggling financially and secretly selling stolen goods. Patty Amati, an 8-year-old with a sexless body who dislikes being treated like a child, speaks like an adult, enjoys reading, and always carries a teddy bear. Bin Xiaowu, a 12-year-old who works at a second-hand shop and is described as Mishima's lover, who came to Seta village with Mishima's mother. A detective, a 57-year-old detective from Jonan Precinct, investigating Mishima's death, described as having a gentle face, but the vibe of a veteran detective boss. The text details the beginning of the chapter, where Joshua, trying to contact reporter Mishima, finds him murdered in his bathroom and encounters Mishima's lover at the scene. The preview emphasizes the unique and complex personalities of the over 150 characters in July, suggesting that superficial descriptions are insufficient to understand them, and hints at deeper truths being revealed about the game's story in future announcements. This page is a preview of The House of the Dead 2 Inches for Dreamcast, in a section titled Naomi's Room. It discusses the game's Stage 3, highlighting boat scenes and enemies attacking from water and bridges. The developers from AMR&D Department No. 1 note the increasing detail of the branching paths and story. The game is described as a stage that players will want to keep playing. The House of the Dead 2 Inches on the NAOMI arcade board is mentioned to have improved graphics and many more creatures compared to the previous game. The completion rate is stated as 90%. The game genres are listed as gun shooting and arcade game, with 2-player co-op possible and a planned release in November. This page is from Naomi's Room and focuses on games for the Sega Naoi arcade system, which is the arcade hardware equivalent to the Dreamcast. It features information about The House of the Dead 2, highlighting the boss characters Ophiuchus Type 8000 and Lificius, showcasing their weak points in gameplay. The text describes Lificius as a 5-headed snake monster that players will encounter in the Colosseum and its attacks. There's a schedule list mentioning upcoming Naomi titles: The House of the Dead 2 Inches, Shooting, Blood Bullet, Provisional, Action, Dynamite Baseball Naomi, Sports, Power Stone, Action, and Dead or Alive 2 Inches, Fighting Action, with their planned release months in 1998. The page also briefly mentions other upcoming games in development for Naomi, including a rally game, Drift Out, a 3D shooting or racing game by Keeb, and an F1 game by Videosystem. A small section previews Dead or Alive 2, mentioning its unveiling at the AM show, and speculation about the Dreamcast version. This page is a Dreamcast Now feature, an interview with Okada Kuji from Atlus, the first development department's general manager. The interview discusses Atlus's move to Dreamcast and their upcoming games. Okada mentions that they have been working on a Dreamcast title that he and Kaneko have been planning for years. He notes the Dreamcast's impressive capabilities, particularly in graphics, and that Atlus is aiming to create something visually stunning. He mentions that the new title will be different from the Mega 10 series, although it will have a Mega 10 taste in terms of its dark imagery and design, which is influenced by Kaneko's style. Okada expresses excitement about moving from 2D to 3D, modeling for characters, and showcasing interesting character silhouettes and movements in 3D. He hints that the game will have a China Wind theme and will feature bad boy type characters. The interview touches on the game's direction being in interactive real-time polygon modeling, which will bring his drawn characters to life in 3D. The page also features screenshots of the 48 by 32 pixel visual memory screen showing gameplay from Super Robot Wars DC, Super Robot Taisen DC. Atlus heavily supported the Sega Saturn, releasing 19 games in 3 years, with the Devil Summoner series being a key highlight. Their Saturn titles included games like King the Spirits, Gunbird, and Princess Crown, showcasing a variety of genres. Looking towards the Dreamcast, an interview with Okada emphasized the console's powerful 3D graphics for faithfully representing game art. Atlus's new Dreamcast title, related to Shin Megami Tensei, defies genre categorization, focusing heavily on story and potentially utilizing the Dreamcast's visual memory and network features. The article confirmed the Dreamcast launch date as November 27th and noted high anticipation for Atlus's Dreamcast games, especially Soul Hackers, accompanied by a screenshot of the game and a relevant female character image. This page focuses on Dricus, which is introduced as the official Dreamcast homepage. It clarifies that Dreamcast is currently in a preparation phase before its grand opening, but is already accessible. The grand opening is announced for November 27th. The page highlights several sections of Dreamcast. There is an event report covering Dreamcast-related events, and Game Burn, which provides information on Dreamcast titles, currently featuring games like Blue Stinger and Sonic Adventure. There is also a section called Title Details. The page details the services that will be available at the grand opening of Dreamcast, including Game Burn, daily DC news, original manga content by famous artists, mail services, and a Dory-map feature to locate nearby Dreamcast users. All of these services are accessible through the Dream Passport communication software. The page also mentions that Dreamcast will feature 16 content corners at launch, and briefly mentions the Tokyo Game Show '98. This page is an advertisement for a Sakura Wars OVA fanbook called True Summer Night's Dream. It is the second volume of the fanbook and is advertised for 1,800 yen. The book is B5 size and 96 pages long, planned for release in autumn. The ad highlights that it features newly drawn illustrations, staff interviews, and digest information and setting materials. It also mentions that previously unreleased cell animation art is used throughout the book, and it comes with a folded poster. The bottom text includes copyright information for Sega Enterprises, Bandai Visual, and Anime Film from 1996 and 1997. It also contains address and contact details for SoftBank Publishing Division. This page is an advertisement for the Sega Saturn game, Find Love. It announces 3 campaigns related to the game. The first campaign is a pre-order bonus where customers who pre-order the game at participating stores will receive 1 random SD figure out of 10 types. The second campaign is a user participation campaign where they are asking for submissions of lines that players would like to hear from the 10 girls in the game. Selected lines will be recorded on a special Gotokuru voice CD. The third campaign is a Find Love triple collection campaign where participants can get a special Gotokuru voice CD and a drawn telephone card by collecting application tickets included in the Find Love 2, the prologue for Sega Saturn, and the Windows 95 version of Find Love. The deadline for the campaign is December 31st, 1998. The page features images of the promotional items, including the Gotokuru voice CD and the telephone card, along with chibi illustrations of the game's characters. The ad indicates that the game is rated for ages 18 and over, and is for the Sega Saturn console. This page is an advertisement for the Sega Saturn game Find Love 2 Rhapsody, a romantic simulation game featuring 10 girls. The game is promoted as a full-fledged love simulation, boasting animation movie-quality graphics that highlight the charm of the girls. It's directed by Yoshimoto Kinji. The game was set to be released on Thursday, November 26th, with a price of 6,800 yen for a 2-disc set. The page details gameplay features such as raising parameters through guitar practice to become a professional musician, and the dramatic talk system for immersive conversations with characters like Kazaki and Wild. Screenshots showcase dialogue scenes and in-game menus. Additionally, the advert promotes the Find Love series, listing previous titles like Find Love the Prologue, and Find Love Win 95 version. Related merchandise is also advertised, including comics, music CDs, CG collections, and strategy guides. Fan club information for Find Love official fan club, Sky Color Club, is provided, along with contact details for inquiries. This page is an advertisement for the book titled Making of Red Company, which is scheduled for release in early December. The book delves into the history of Red Company, the creators of games like Cho Makaimura Gaiden, Whoopee, also known internationally as Super Ghouls Ghosts Side Story, the Tengai Maku series, and Sakura Wars. It promises to cover everything about Red Company, from its inception to the present day, showcasing items, recent works, and key characters. The book is priced at 1,300 yen, is B5 size, spans 112 pages in full color, and is a joint production between Red Company and SoftBank. The advert features an image of 2 men, likely associated with Red Company. This page is a reader submission corner called Guru Powers. It features a Dream Square section where readers' dreams and ideas are shared. The page includes columns by a sister, brother, and cat persona. The sister mentions the Guru Powers time, discusses reader submissions, and humorously suggests renaming a submission. The brother responds, acknowledging downsizing, and questions the meaning of illustrations from a reader. The cat column expresses gratitude to readers, mentions issues with something called third part of Sigata, and discusses school festival plans and reader submissions, including boring stories about DC software postcards. There's an illustration introducing the Uzuki siblings with cat as characters for the corner. The Uzuki sister is described as practical and money-minded, the Uzuki brother as a romantic Dreamcast fan, and the Uzuki cat as philosophical and game-loving, responsible for the cat hearing corner. A section by someone from Fukuoka Prefecture / Nishi Kansai expresses excitement about a sequel being revealed in the magazine and teases a video scene and a character named Truth Punch. Finally, the page discusses the game Ikasama Majishan, New York Raid, mentioning it's a small game and humorously suggesting saying Dreamcast 20 times to make it sound like the game title. The characters joke about mastering the game and conclude the discussion. The page also highlights that Evolution is highly anticipated and its characters are appealing with only 2 weeks until release. This page features reviews for 2 Sega Saturn games and commentary on the Dreamcast launch. Setsufu no Shima Monogatari, a Japanese exclusive adventure game, is lauded for its beautiful graphics, heartwarming story about a boy named Garpu solving mysteries on a windswept island, and immersive atmosphere. Stellar Assault SS, a Saturn 3D shooter, is praised for its detailed settings, varied missions, and thrilling aerial combat, particularly the cloud breakthrough scene. Despite being overlooked, it's considered a top-tier Saturn shooter, especially in trace mode. A shopkeeper in Hokkaido describes high Dreamcast demand, fueled by Sega's advertising and pre-orders, but laments limited initial shipments and the November 27th launch amidst production issues. The page also includes an illustration garden showcasing fan art themed around Sonic Adventure, featuring artists like Kojiro Takane, Hoshino Mio, and Mizuno Kotoko. This magazine page features various reader submissions and content. Guru Guru Comic showcases user-submitted manga, currently surreal and dark, but seeking more heartwarming stories. The Ask the Cat advice column features a cat character humorously answering reader questions. These include queries about melodies becoming fairy tale-like, attributed to a human cat plan, the distinction between Sonic characters Miles and Tails, claiming Big the Cat as the true main character of the cat era, and the possibility of mothers becoming younger, jokingly dismissed. The cat column also notes a lack of game-related questions. Reader artwork submissions are highlighted from different prefectures. Aichi features Jackie from Virtua Fighter 3. Namco's Dreamcast participation is celebrated with Tekken imagery. And new game releases like Psychic Force 2012 and Climax Landers are congratulated. Further art from Chiba is inspired by Samusan, Capcom vs. and Vipers 2, while Fukuoka's art shouts Dreamcast and Big Brawl. Okayama and Hyogo artwork anticipate Climax Landers and Psychic Force 2012 respectively, showcasing reader excitement for these releases and Dreamcast games. This page showcases various features. The Aliens Forest section talks about enjoying Sega Saturn games, recommending titles like VR Virtua Fighter, Darius Gaiden, Radiant Silvergun, and Layer section, Galactic Attack. It mentions that even now, Saturn games are enjoyable, and that second-hand consoles are readily available. The page also contains Iris's Letter Half-Price Edition, which seems to be a comic strip. There is a Girls' Corner announcing the start of a new section aimed at female gamers called Ghoul Ghoul Powers. This new corner, Ghoul Ghoul Powers, is being introduced as a replacement for Dream Square, and is soliciting short, catchy phrases for its title. Submission guidelines and an address for sending in contributions are provided, along with small reader submission sections featuring names and addresses of contributors. This page is an advertisement for the GameSpot Japan website by ZDNet Japan, promoting itself as a source for daily gaming news and information available for free. The website covers the latest news for Dreamcast, aiming to be the quickest and most in-depth source in Japan, as well as PlayStation news and new titles. It mentions a portable games war between Game Boy, Neo Geo Pocket, and WonderSwan. The news section within the ad features news snippets from October 12, 1998, including T&E's first Snow Love RPG Sonata, likely referring to a game that was never released internationally and remained exclusive to Japan. Another news item is Colorful Demon Extermination STG and Yoshimoto and Talent Turned into Polygon Hemp, which is likely talking about Ayakashi Gari Ibunroku, colorful monster extermination record. It also mentions Pocket Station and Dolphin Melody. And a theme series new work is Water Tribe Flag. The events section highlights reports on big game events like Tokyo Game Show, Tokyo Character Show, and Amusement Machine Show, emphasizing the website's speed in delivering information. The column section introduces writers who deeply understand Japanese games, aiming to offer industry insights and enjoyable content for game history buffs and merchandise enthusiasts. The links section promotes connections to around 300 game maker homepages, positioning the website as a useful resource for internet surfing. The next page is Volume 2 of the weekly feature Habit Bad, and focuses on the theme of habit. This page is titled School Refusal, and features an interview with the talent Yabe Miho, who has written a book also titled School Refusal. The article discusses her personal experience with school refusal during her youth. Yabe Miho recounts being bullied and called names at school, which led her to avoid going and instead find solace in the train station toilet, describing it as her paradise, where she could escape and think freely. She mentions dreaming of becoming an entertainer, and suggests that if you are struggling at school, it's important to find something you are passionate about, like games or manga, and that things will eventually get better. The article emphasizes that school isn't everything, and finding something you love and focusing on it is key. This page showcases a Figure Wonderland feature, highlighting a trend where figures are becoming more popular and not just limited to girl characters, appealing to a wider audience. It presents several figures of movie characters. Featured are figures such as the Shrieker from Escape from Hospital, a newborn alien from Alien Resurrection, and a figure of Katsushintaro, a samurai character. There is also an Edward Scissorhands figure. Another figure is James Bond from Tomorrow Never Dies movie, and finally a Neji Shiki figure, which is a memorial model for the theatrical release and features a unique design with screws. Each figure description includes details such as price, scale, copyright information, and target age. This page is a manga strip titled Something Yoshimatsu Theater Episode 2. It humorously talks about Sega games being the best in the world and touches on topics like buying used games, with Boro discs, meaning cheap or used discs, and the release of the Dreamcast. The strip also features a gag around the game Titanic and some slightly suggestive content with a character depicted with an apple in place of breasts, referencing Eve from the Bible. The creator, Something Yoshimatsu, is introduced as an anime creator known for working on major projects, with his next work being Jubei-chan. He is also mentioned as a big fan of Pamela Anderson. This page is an advert for the Windows 95 and 98 PC game Lulu Rurulu Elf Wordsworth by Elf. It highlights the characters in the game with descriptions, including Sharon, Kaiser, Nina, Stallion, Gollum, Waterseeker, Dulk, Sylvarna, Sabrina, Maria, Tessio, Club, Wise, Hyde, and Fabrice. The page also shows screenshots of dungeon exploration and the weapon and item shops where you can purchase equipment. The game seems to be a role-playing adventure where you fight monsters and explore dungeons. This page is advertising the Flower Troop Christmas Miracle Bell event by Sega Presents. It announces the winners of a ticket lottery for this Sakura Wars Christmas Live event. The event, happening on December 23rd at the Roppongi Velvet Far, is a premium event featuring voice actors from Sakura Wars in a band-like stage performance. General producer Oji Hiroi mentions that this event is a dream come true and hopes to convey the vitality of life to the audience. A message from Oji Hiroi congratulates the winners and expresses his hope that everyone attending will have a special day. The page also lists the names of the 100 winners by prefecture. This page is all about the Sakura Wars franchise and upcoming related events and products. It highlights a ticket lottery and general sale information for the Sega Presents Miracle Bells Flower Division Christmas event, scheduled for December 23, 1998, at Akasaka Velveteen Fair. The page lists the cast members involved in the event. Also advertised are related merchandise, including the Miracle Bells single CD, featuring rearranged songs for the live show, and a video/LD called Tsubasa, a recording of the summer stage show at the Tokyo Welfare Pension Hall, boasting 175 minutes of content and including bonus items like a booklet and poster. Finally, there is a long list of names which appears to be winners, who will receive prizes related to Sakura Wars. This page is an advertisement for the Derby Stallion series of horse racing simulation games, a very popular franchise in Japan. The image features a horse looking over a wooden fence with a tear rolling down its face, set against a sunset background. Japanese text on the left reads, Dabisuta Nihon ni wa ga aru, which means Derby Stallion, exists in Japan, or Japan has Derby Stallion, likely highlighting the game's strong presence and popularity within the Japanese market. It's probably hinting at a new release or ongoing success of the series around the time of this Dreamcast Magazine issue in 1998. This page is an advertisement for the Sega Saturn game Derby Stallion, a horse racing simulation game. The ad features a picture of a man emotionally moved to tears, presumably by the game's immersive experience, alongside a horse. It highlights the game's features such as races with up to 18 horses, a 98 version racing program, and describes it as a realistic horse racing training simulation. The game is scheduled for release in December and priced at 6,800 yen. It is published by ASC2. This page is from Hello, Capcom Volume 66 and features an interview with Capcom producer Ninami Tatsuya from the development department's third production department. The interview focuses on Capcom's software development, particularly for the Sega Saturn, even with the Dreamcast on the horizon. Ninami mentions that Capcom is still actively developing Saturn titles, including D&D, possibly Dungeons & Dragons, which is nearing completion. He talks about wanting to create software that makes Saturn owners feel valued. He discusses the difficulty of porting older games, mentioning Gunsmoke and Senjo no Ukami 2 Feet, Commando 2, and the challenges of faithfully recreating the arcade experience on consoles due to hardware limitations. The interview touches upon the user feedback and that reviews have been positive. Ninami also mentions the upcoming Generation series and talks about planning for Dreamcast titles, indicating there are various titles in development for the new console. The page also includes sections inviting reader participation, asking for illustrations, and voice submissions. There are screenshots from the game X-Men, Children of the Atom, and an illustration of a Capcom character resembling Little Red Riding Hood. This page is about the arcade game Gun Griffon, a 3D versus battle action game for business use PS boards, highlighting hidden characters and gameplay features. It mentions 3 hidden characters: GX5601 Wizdak Orzroso, FX004 EX Dixine Experiment, and Dark Pulsion, noting their different appearances and pilot backgrounds. The page details time release conditions to unlock hidden characters after 600 hours of game use, and an operator command to access a test mode via the color screen. The Kikyo Room Cast Corner announces a radio drama called Giant Steel Man, starting November 7th, broadcasted on Radio Osaka. It also solicits opinions from readers about potential console ports, including full voice story mode and new mecha. This page is an advertisement for the Super Robot Wars F&F Final Arc Perfect Reference Strategy Guidebook. It's a complete guide for both Super Robot Wars F and Super Robot Wars F Final Arc games. The book, slated for release in November, boasts 440 pages and includes event flowcharts, pilot and unit data, spirit command lists, and full illustrations. It's positioned as a comprehensive resource for fans, covering everything from basic strategies to hidden game elements. This page is an advertisement for a gaming tournament called Game Fighter Bound, which is a free-to-enter event at Technos International College. The tournament is scheduled for December 12th, starting at 10 a.m., and will feature elimination battles using the latest game software. The game genres included are fighting, puzzle, racing, and shooting games, plus sudden death game types. They are recruiting participants for teams of 2 to 4 people, and mention that experience enrollment events are also being held on various dates at the college. This magazine page from Chunsoft DC Free Talk features reader comments and editor discussions about the sound novel Machi and its potential sequel, Machi 2. Readers suggest features for Machi 2 inches like 3D polygons and parallel storylines. Discussions also cover the original Machi, including its real sound system and character silhouette colors in the PlayStation version: brown for Kibishi, red for the Tea-Shop Girl, green for Rikushi, etc. Editors Ume and Tetsu respond to these points and recall director Ino Kenji. The Street Corner Bulletin Board continues Machi talk with fan art and further Machi 2 inches suggestions, even humorous ones, like live-action Pink scenarios. The Tantusha section includes editor gratitude and team dynamic notes, plus a cartoon. Voice actors Toda Akihisa, Komori Yuka, and Higata Tomoko are profiled in Tell Me About That Person. Finally, Those Expressions Are Great celebrates popular female characters Shiori-san and Uma-chan from Machi and their memorable scenes. This page showcases the Gallery Duganzaka section featuring user-submitted illustrations with editor comments and jokes. The illustrations cover various themes, from coffee and milk preferences to imaginary scenarios. The page also includes Chunsoft News. The first news item is for Kamaitachi no Yoru, Night of the Sickle Weasel, a suspense game, highlighting the CM concept as fear and noting the unsettling smile of Haruko Yanozaki. The second news item is for Machi, Street, an OL game where the main character, Narimi Komori, involves 8 men leading to a bad ending. The text questions if you can date 8 people at once. The third news item for Machi introduces Toru Yanozaki, a high school student who receives a doll as a gift, noting the strangeness of the doll. The page mentions that the sound novel resolution TVCM is complete, and the CM features lines from the game. The CMs are described with phrases like, "Because of you, the dead bodies will increase," and "What is this unpleasant doll?" Finally, there's a call for submissions for various categories related to Chunsoft games, and an announcement of winners who will receive the Machi trial version for mentioning GTO in their submissions. This page features a section about the USA version of Lunar Silver Star Story, detailing an interview conducted in America with the game's main staff. It mentions that the interview covered the making of the game and was intended for American users. The interview was conducted in English, with some translation challenges noted. There is also a new corner, titled My Own Style Game Music Composition Lecture, which aims to provide practical advice on composing game music, moving away from complicated theory. The profile of a composer is introduced, revealing them to be from Nagano Prefecture, with a background in musical composition and experience in game music, including titles like Langrisser and Lunar, as well as musical and stage productions, and even work for Tokyo Disneyland. The page also highlights the release of the Langrisser V original soundtrack CD. It praises the soundtrack's quality and variations, suggesting it will appeal to both players of the game and those who haven't played it. Finally, a section called This Week's Treasured Snap features a picture of a bollard in a street scene from Huis-ten-Bosch in Nagasaki, with a short anecdote about a family trip there. This page showcases advertisements for 2 manga volumes. The top section promotes Cat Shit 1 Volume 1 by Motofumi Kobayashi, described as a modern war comic series focusing on the Vietnam War, from a monthly combat magazine. The lower section advertises Web Comics Anthology Volume 1, a collection of digital comics available online featuring a variety of artists including Shoko Mayumi, Tatsuki Kido, Kamui Fujiwara, Toshihisa Suzuki, Motofumi Kobayashi, Miruku Morizono, Tsukubo Oka, and Motu Koyama, among others, highlighting a CG comic art gallery. This page is an advertisement for official strategy guides for Sega Saturn games. The first guide is for Dragon Force 2, Kamisarishi Daiichi ni. It is an official guide for the popular Sega Saturn simulation game, priced at 1,200 yen, a 5 size and 144 pages. It covers a wide range of topics from events and unique characters, battle systems, internal affairs commands, character and item lists, and item synthesis data. The second guide is for Shining the Holy Ark, an official guide for the simulation RPG, priced at 950 yen, a 5 size, 144 pages, and includes a binding. It covers MAP data to the final stage, hidden item locations, enemy information, and a data-focused structure. The third guide is for Melfan Stories, specifically the Sega Saturn version called Melfan Stories, La Laracia no Hibu. It's an official guide priced at 1,400 yen, a 5 size, 112 pages, all in color, and comes with a special trading card. It highlights the Sega Saturn version's additions, new elements, voice actor interviews, and includes original trading cards and signed paper presents from voice actors. This page is an advertisement for 2 strategy guides called Perfect Guides. The first is for Super Robot Wars Complete Box, a game featuring various mecha anime series such as Evangelion, Ideon, Gundam, Mazinger Z, Getter Robo, and Daytarn 3. This guide promises to be a complete walkthrough to conquer the game, addressing fan concerns about the storyline. The second guide is for Mobile Suit Gundam, Giran's Ambition, on Dreamcast. This guide offers comprehensive strategies including detailed maps, event introductions, character profiles, weapon development conditions, hidden mode details, and event trigger conditions, making it a complete strategy book for the game. This page is a questionnaire response form for readers. It includes sections for personal details like gender, age, occupation, and frequently read magazines. Readers are asked their opinions on the current issue, how they heard about the magazine, and their future hardware and software purchase plans, specifically for Dreamcast and Saturn. Lists of Dreamcast and Saturn hardware and software titles are provided as reference points for the survey questions. This page is an advertisement for the Dreamcast game Pen Tri-Isolon, an action racing game. The ad boldly claims that the game will change your view of games and even your view of life. It emphasizes the game's visual impact, stating that it's been a hot topic since its announcement due to its look. The text also assures readers that the game is not just about appearances. The actual gameplay is also amazing, encouraging them to read the full article in the magazine to discover what makes it so great. The game was set to be released on November 27th for 5,800 yen and supports up to 4 players for competitive multiplayer. It is published by General Entertainment. The advert mentions that there is a store demo version available and that the game is featured across 10 pages of the magazine. This page is about Cool Toon, a game from Team Land HO, presenting it as a new proposal. The page highlights it as a cartoon race, with cartoon-like funny gimmicks and roller coaster-like courses, aiming for a different kind of racing game experience, rather than just time attack focused. The article mentions Penguin House, and shows screenshots of the game featuring cartoonish characters racing in different environments. It explains that this game is a triathlon-style race, broken down into 3 actions within one race: sliding, running, and swimming. The page details the slide and slim technique for the penguin characters, emphasizing the stroke action as fundamental for movement in water or ice. It mentions that the timing of button presses is key, and that shorter button presses are better in water or ice. The game features an easy ice stroke mode to help players learn the timing, displaying an icon on screen to guide stroke timing. The bottom of the page is titled, Embrace the Absurdity, Skyrocket Your Imagination. This page introduces a chaotic battle race game called Popolo Cross Story 2, Popolon and the Forest Adventure. It's described as an action-packed race, where running is like an action game. The core gameplay involves running and attacking. The key to victory is to aim your attacks carefully. You can also jump to dodge attacks from behind. If you get hit by an attack, you will be temporarily stunned and unable to move, so using attacks strategically is important to disrupt your rivals and win the race. The screenshots show the characters in action, racing, and engaging in combat on the track. This page introduces the Dreamcast game Pen Tri-Isolon. It highlights the game's courses, designed with themes like sweets, unexplored territories, toys, and horror, each presenting varying difficulty levels. The courses are described as dynamic, changing like a theme park as you race through them. The page also details a fashion element, where winning races rewards players with distinctive items to make their characters stand out. Finally, it mentions the Pen House feature and encourages players to "Let's play!" This page introduces Punkish Pen World, showcasing the Dreamcast game Pen Tri-Isolon. It details various courses within the game, such as the toy course featuring bubble-blowing toy shampoo, the drawing course with a precarious narrow bridge, the ice pillar course set in a frozen world, the block king course with a rotating king obstacle, and the cream shoe course, where players navigate falling cream puffs. The page also highlights the now loading art gallery, a feature displaying character art during loading screens, with over 40 different images that sometimes provide helpful gameplay tips. Finally, it describes the game's unique jamming mechanism, which subtly adjusts player speeds during races. The leading player is slowed down, while players further behind are given a speed boost, creating closer and more exciting races, where taking the lead doesn't guarantee victory. This page previews the game Cool Toon. It highlights a horror-themed course featuring areas like Skeleton Cave and a ship graveyard. The Skeleton Cave course is described as winding and populated with rattling skeletons that slow players down if hit. After the cave, players enter a ship graveyard with shallow water and then a swimming area full of shipwrecks. The page emphasizes the game's replay mode, praising its dynamic camera work that smoothly follows the characters and provides excellent cornering angles, making replays incredibly stylish. The camera angles in the game are compared to real car racing, hinting at the producer's previous work. A gameplay element called the Panic Zone is introduced as a place for dramatic comebacks. Located once per course, this zone is designed to equalize races, making it harder for leaders to escape and easier for trailing players to catch up. The panic zone contains obstacles such as a fast-rotating floor, large bats, and rotating cold balls, adding to the challenge. The current race leader is mentioned as Joe the Shark Pen Pen. The next page introduces replay mode for a game called Pen Pen Triathlon. It highlights the cool and interesting aspects of watching replays of gameplay. The page details different areas in the game. Underwater area, which goes from the ship's bottom to the sea trench, with descriptions of narrow courses and electric jellyfish. And running area, described as a scary Western-style building stage with items and ghosts. Another section, areas where Let's Play Tag is seen, mentions a horror-themed course with hand monsters appearing and disappearing. The page discusses the appeal of replay mode in seeing diverse camera angles and player strategies. It also details time attack mode as a way to challenge oneself on courses and compares it to normal mode and time trial mode, suggesting players can enjoy racing alone or aiming for the best times. Pen Pen Triathlon developers Kondo and Nakamura aim to create a fun game centered around penguin actions, walking, sliding, and swimming. They prioritized enjoyable character expressions and actions, designing elements like running, sliding, race-like, and swimming, open spaces. The game is designed for all skill levels, not just experts. A key element is the panic zone, a chaotic and unpredictable area intended to be fun for everyone, enhanced by replay features with varied camera angles. Character interactions and visual appeal were important, with a balancing system allowing trailing players to catch up, especially within the panic zone, which was designed to create exciting confusion. Nakamura emphasized balance within the panic zone to avoid unfair advantages for early entrants, ensuring a stress-free experience regardless of player position. Multiplayer battles are highlighted as particularly engaging with balanced skill levels, especially in 3 or 4 player modes, where interference and spectator appeal increase the fun. Screenshots showcase the penguin racing and battling gameplay. Pen Pen Triathlon developers Kondo Tomohiro and Nakamura Atsutoshi from Land Ho aim to create an immediately enjoyable game. Kondo, known for Panzer Dragoon, focused on the bob and ball element and subtle balance within the game. Nakamura, drawing from Sega Rally, refined the Pen Pen characters' handling on slippery surfaces. Meticulous about game balance and course design, they prioritized intuitive fun and characters' expressive reactions, aiming for a game that makes players instinctively grin. Despite the challenge of a Dreamcast launch day release, they are pleased with exceeding expectations for their first team project and hope players will appreciate the engaging and fun gameplay they crafted. They emphasized delivering initial enjoyment and broad appeal for a wide audience. This page is a preview for the game Pen Pen Triathlon, highlighting its store demo version. It explains that while the demo is incomplete, especially the horror course and replay features, it allows players to experience 4 courses and grasp the game's overall atmosphere. The page emphasizes that seeing the game in motion is essential to appreciate its charm and encourages readers to try the demo in stores. A section titled, Versus Play is OK, points out that while the single-player mode is good, the game truly shines in multiplayer, recommending 3 to 4 players for the best experience and mentioning a live monitor feature for races. Gameplay tips are provided under 3 points. If you remember them, you can enjoy the trial version even more. Point 1 discusses the basic stroke action for swimming and gliding. Point 2 details that floating is controlled by down and diving by up on the controller. Point 3 explains the use of dash zones to gain speed boosts by running into sparkling areas on the courses. The page encourages readers to play the demo to experience the game's sound effects, music, and character voices, suggesting that Pen Pen Triathlon is a title that showcases the Dreamcast's capabilities, changing perceptions of console gaming. This page is a contents page for Sega Saturn Magazine from November 27, 1998. It highlights upcoming, coming soon soft releases like She's, Etude Prologue, Winning Post 3 Program 98, Boulder Dash, Guyford, Crown Destruction Strategy, Wizardry, Lilgaman Saga, Capcom Generation 5, Warriors, Chaos Seed, Grandia, and Real Machine Simulation Volume 3. New release title features Elandor, Siberia, and Farland Saga, Times Guidepost. The complete guide section includes walkthroughs for games such as Slayers Royal 2, Virtua Call S, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Valcom Classics 2, and Cotton Boomerang. This page showcases the Sega Saturn Shop Data Top 10 Inches sales chart from Weekly Sega Saturn Magazine, highlighting the best-selling software. Number 1 is Virtua Call S, a new entry topping the charts, followed by Falcom Classics 2 in second place and Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter in third. The chart also includes Real Mahjong from the Sega Saturn collection, Mobile Suit Gundam, Giran's Ambition, and Pia Carrot Hi Yukoso 2, Shining Force 2, I Scenario 2, Mobile Battleship Nadesico, The Blank of 3 Years, Cul-de-Cept from the Sega Saturn collection, and Shining the Holy Ark round out the top 10. Below the rankings is a release schedule table detailing upcoming Sega Saturn games. Notable titles scheduled for release include Princess Crown, Mega Man X4, Silhouette Mirage, Farland Story, The Path of Time, Roommate W, Langrisser Tribute, and Sakura Wars Taigeki Graph. The table lists various genres, prices, and supported peripherals, including mouse support for some games. This page features a user data top 20 chart for popular Sega Saturn games. Sakura Wars. Imperial Capital Dramatic Graph is at number 1, having climbed from second place. It has 328 points and a development progress of 100%. The text describes it as perfect for enjoying winter in a kotatsu, highlighting its popularity. A screenshot of a female character from Sakura Wars is shown. In 7th place is Darby Stallion, with 137 points and 70% development progress, featuring a screenshot of a horse racing scene. Further down at number 21 is Etude Prologue, with 59 points and 100% development progress, accompanied by a screenshot of an anime-style female character. The text introduces the story of the game, where the player chooses to play as one of 2 male characters, and that the release is approaching, recommending checking the story. There is a table listing various upcoming games with their release dates, titles, prices, makers, genres, and compatible hardware. Below this is a calendar of terms, explaining the abbreviations used for genres and compatible hardware, such as ACT for action, RPG for role-playing, ADV for adventure, SLG for simulation, and hardware like racing controllers, mice, and RAM cartridges. This page is a Sega Saturn Readers poll ranking called Readers Race, dated November 13th, with a total of 1101 Saturn games released at that point. The ranking is determined by reader votes and aims to provide a real-time updated list. The top-ranked games are mentioned as Pia Carrot I Yukoso, 2 inches at number 1, and Sakura Taisen, 2 inches at number 2. The list continues down to lower ranks and includes various Saturn titles across genres such as RPG, adventure, action, strategy, and more. The page highlights the popularity of these games among readers and the competitive nature of the ranking. This Sega Saturn review section, Odds Chart Saturn B, highlights 4 games. Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter is praised as a high-quality port with fast loading and accessible hidden characters. Its survival mode is well received, though some find it too similar to previous entries and lacking bonus content. Strikers 1945-2 is lauded as the Saturn's definitive shooter, emphasizing thrilling gameplay and strategic depth. Capcom Generation Volume 3 offers nostalgic classic arcade games, appreciated for complete versions despite a restrictive screen size and minor presentation issues. Finally, Steam Hearts is a meticulously designed, challenging shooter with intricate bullet patterns and satisfying action, but its H-game style might limit its appeal despite strong gameplay. This page is a Sega Saturn popularity ranking chart, listing numerous games across various genres. Titles include well-known games like Virtua Fighter 2, Daytona USA, and Puyo Puyo Sun, alongside Japanese titles such as Romance of the Three Kingdoms IV, Winning Post 2, Jake Hunter, Unraveling the Past, Fighting Illusion K1 Grand Prix, Samurai Shodown 2i, Blades of Blood, Vandal Hearts, Pacin' Time, PTO 2, Pacific Theater of Operations, Steam Hearts, In the Hunt, D, and Case Closed, The Cursed Steam Express. The ranking spans across genres like simulation, tabletop, RPG, adventure, racing, strategy, action, sports, and puzzle games. This Satama Ga feature recommends the Sega Saturn's Phantasy Star Collection, an RPG released in 1998 for 4,800 yen, achieving high reader and magazine review scores. The collection compiles the series, starting from its Famicom origins, highlighting the original Phantasy Star's groundbreaking 3D dungeons and science fantasy setting through titles like Phantasy Star 2i and The End of the Millennium, emphasizing innovation across generations even with the upcoming Dreamcast. Bonus features include selectable startup music, katakana message display, and a gallery for fans. Reader comments and developer recommendations emphasize its affordability, accessibility for newcomers, and nostalgic value for veterans, making it a must-buy to experience Sega's first original RPG and its history on Saturn. The page also features Saturn game rankings, providing context for popular titles of the time. This page is a Sega Saturn feature in a gaming magazine, including reader reviews and a peripherals ranking. The Virtual Call S review mentions it is an adult game requiring a mouse or a dedicated peripheral, and received an average score of 7.0. Reader comments are mixed, praising the calling you aspect, but some found the gameplay monotonous. Another review is for Falcom Classics 2, receiving an average score of 8.0. It is noted as a compilation of Falcom games like Wyans 2 Inches, and is praised as a solid port that can still be enjoyed, although some found it nostalgic. There's a section titled Field Horse Voice, featuring reader comments, mentioning the anticipation for Sega Saturn games despite the approaching Dreamcast release, and desires for specific Sega Saturn-related items like a limited edition console. The page details reader participation contests, asking readers to predict the ranking of games, with prizes like power memory and joystick sets, wireless controllers, and joysticks, along with their choice of Saturn game. The current prediction game is Real Mahjong Adventure, Umi Summer Waltz. An odds table Sega Saturn peripherals is mentioned, listing popular Saturn peripherals, although the table itself is very dense and difficult to read. The page announces winners from a previous contest, listing names like Yamagata Prefecture, Yoshimura Takeshi, and others from various prefectures. This page is an advertisement for two Sakura Wars 2 books. The first is a complete strategy guide titled Sakura Wars 2, Thorough Strategy Guide, Love and Battle Days, promising to explore all possibilities in the game and offer in-depth character information and story digests. It's an A5-sized, 464-page full-color book, priced at 1,800 yen. The second book advertised is a Sakura Wars 2 Original Picture and Setting Material Collection, described as gathering everything from the Imperial Capital world. This book is a 4-sized, 160 pages, and priced at 2,000 yen. It includes character concept art, setting materials, movie storyboards, and even CGI content. It also mentions a bonus inclusion of a Hideki Matsubara newly drawn poster and a Taikoku Gekidan paper model with chibi characters. Both books are Sega official publications. This page is a preview for the Sega Saturn game Seasons, an adult-rated romance adventure game. The game is described as a 100% complete title and was released on November 19th for 6,800 yen. The preview highlights the game's concept of seasonal love stories, introducing the concept of playing through the game multiple times to experience different storylines. The first playthrough focuses on the main heroines, while subsequent playthroughs unlock new story developments and even the possibility of dating sub-characters, suggesting multiple romance options beyond the initial heroines. The screenshots illustrate scenes from the game, showcasing the anime-style characters and visual novel presentation. The text on the page indicates that the game aims to deliver a heart-throbbing story, emphasizing the emotional impact and player engagement with the different seasonal love stories. It is described as a game that will resonate deeply with the player. This page is a game preview focusing on the Sega Saturn title Ayano and the Manager, a visual novel adventure game centered around relationships. The game's scenario starts with a heavy atmosphere, dealing with the protagonist's upcoming exams and conflicts with his father regarding his future. Amidst this, his only comfort is his sister, Ayano. The page describes Ayano as a typical sheltered daughter and the protagonist's stepsister, who has harbored feelings for him since childhood. A plot point revolves around Sachio, the protagonist's stepmother, who catches Ayano being affectionate with him, leading to Ayano being sent away to a prestigious school. The protagonist is forced to distance himself from Ayano as part of a deal with Sachio to allow him to pursue higher education. The spring section details a scenario where the protagonist is told to take a shower and questioned by Ayano about whether he will leave her behind. The active manager section introduces another character, Sayaka Nishizaki, the manager of the protagonist's ball club, who invites him on a date after his entrance ceremony. Initially reluctant, he goes on the date, which culminates in Sayaka confessing her feelings in a park. However, rain starts pouring just as they are about to kiss, and the protagonist takes Sayaka back to his house. The scenario progresses to Sayaka taking a shower in his home. Later, the protagonist notices a different girl's scent on his bed when waking up, seemingly hinting at Sayaka's presence. This page is a game preview featuring 2 games. The first preview is titled, Strong-Willed Childhood Friend and Tea House Signboard Girl. Which one will you choose? It introduces 2 female characters. A childhood friend named Sora Kyoku, who is described as boyish, and a tea house signboard girl named Natsume Tenno. The story revolves around a love triangle scenario on a deserted island, with the protagonist, Sora, and Natsume. Natsume is portrayed as stylish and mature. The second preview is for a game called Unstoppable Energy Girl and Perverted Protagonist's Love Comedy. It features a character named Mirai Tendu, described as an energetic girl who dislikes losing and is constantly trying to stop the protagonist's perverted antics, especially during the school sports festival. The story includes events like Mirai setting up traps for the protagonist, and a scene where Mirai gets injured during a sports festival event, leading to a closer relationship between her and the protagonist as she makes him a lunchbox to show her feelings. The preview highlights the changing relationship dynamics between Mirai and the protagonist, going from conflict to developing romantic feelings. This page is a preview for the Sega Saturn game, Suzume. It highlights the game as a serious story filled with mystery and asks where Suzume's happiness lies. The page introduces the game's premise through seasonal scenarios. In the summer section, it talks about the protagonist and Suzume going to a summer festival after being rescued from a deserted island, despite Suzume being grounded by her parents. The winter section profiles Suzume, describing her as being sickly since birth and hospitalized, with the protagonist acting as a supportive older brother figure. The character Raika Ima Koji is introduced as a strong-willed and wealthy woman who seems to be connected to the protagonist. A Christmas scenario describes the protagonist taking Suzume to town to buy her a music box, but Raika intervenes, demanding money to return Suzume and invite her to a party. Another character, Kira Tendo, is introduced as a leader-like and competitive girl who enjoys being playfully teased by the protagonist. Mizuho Nakajima is presented as a nurse at Suzume's hospital, who is understanding and cooperative, even knowing the protagonist is not Suzume's real brother. Finally, the page teases a hospital scene where Suzume confesses her feelings to the protagonist and later mysteriously appears at his home from the hospital, questioning him about love, suggesting a dramatic and possibly supernatural element to the story. Suzume appears to be a visual novel or adventure game, exclusive to Japan. This page is a preview for the Sega Saturn game, Etude Prologue, an adventure title from developer Takuyo. The game is set to release on November 26th for 5,800 yen and is suitable for all ages. It's described as a story focused on the shape of heart and unfolds in a high school setting, starting on January 26th. The narrative explores the protagonist's inner self and relationships with those around them, like family, friends, and teachers. The page spotlights several characters including Hitomi, Megami, Yumi, Nachi, and Minami, giving a glimpse into their roles and personalities within the game's storyline. It highlights that this Saturn version boasts enhanced graphics, voice acting, and scenarios compared to its PC counterpart. This page is showcasing upcoming software for the Sega Saturn and seems to be previewing the dating simulation game Sentimental Graffiti 2, which remained a Japanly release. The page details gameplay events across several in-game dates, starting with January 27th to 31 Stone, described as an information-gathering period within the school, where you attend classes and explore to understand the characters better. February 1st marks a free school day, allowing exploration of the town and interaction with people outside of school. New encounters and potential relationships are highlighted for February, with characters like Midori being introduced. February 2nd is described as a night date with a knowledgeable friend who provides detailed data about relationships and system information. The game appears to involve managing relationships and potentially rivalries, as indicated by mentions of a Good Men collection and a rival girls list. The characters Asami and Nachi are also featured, and the overall theme revolves around romance and high school life leading up to Valentine's Day. This page is dedicated to Winning Post 3 Program 98. The newest iteration in the horse racing simulation series. They are really emphasizing the new features in this version, like the ability to create original bloodline horses, offering a deeper breeding and ownership experience. The game boasts completely updated data to reflect the latest racing information, and they've expanded the events available within the game. They're even showcasing the popular racehorse Silence Suzuka, hinting that players can experience his legendary races in the game. It's presented as a significant upgrade for fans of the Winning Post series. Winning Post 3 Program 98 for Sega Saturn is previewed, focusing on recreating famous horse races. The preview highlights 3 key horses: Special Week in the Japan Cup, Taiki Shuttle in the Mile Championship, and Air Groove in the Queen Elizabeth II Cup. The game emphasizes realistic horse racing, simulating factors like pedigree and racing style. Players can experience controlling legendary horses like Taiki Shuttle, known for mile race dominance, or create custom horses using editing features, even imitating famous ones. While Air Groove might not be directly playable initially, a horse from her bloodline, Air Group, is available, allowing players to experience the Queen Elizabeth II Cup and the mare's strong performance. The game offers deep simulation of horse racing and the thrill of reliving famous races. This page is introducing Boulder Dash Land for the Sega Saturn. It's described as a real-time map simulation game where you defeat enemy tribes on the map. The goal is to increase the population of workers first, then transition them into builders and scientists to construct buildings and develop weapons. Scientists can sabotage enemy bases, and you can eventually convert everyone into soldiers to attack. The page highlights the 4 types of units: worker, builder, scientist, and soldier, detailing their roles in building, resource management, and combat. It also outlines the gameplay flow in 6 steps, from increasing population and houses to developing items and attacking enemy bases. The game, developed by Banpresto, is scheduled for release on November 26th at a price of 6,800 yen. It is a single-player game suitable for all ages and features over 20 types of inventions, including bombs and electric devices. The page also includes a recommendation for the Sting gas bomb. This page previews a Sega Saturn strategy game where the terrain and difficulty evolve as the player levels up. Starting in the grassland levels 1 to 17, the terrain is described as simple and easy, with fast propagation speed and short distances to enemy territories. Moving to the snowfield in levels 18 to 34, the maps become larger and enemies begin to set traps, requiring caution. The wasteland from level 35 to 51 introduces harsher conditions, making land reclamation difficult, and enemies gain power faster, with maps becoming more complex featuring islands. Finally, the desert levels 52 to 67 are described as extremely challenging, where the player starts at a significant disadvantage compared to enemies, demanding precise tactics on maps with simple shapes but large distances to enemy bases. This page is a preview for the Sega Saturn game, Gaiford, Crown Destruction Strategy. It highlights that the game is a collaboration between Capcom, known for Street Fighter, and Toho, known for Japanese special effects films, to create the 7-star God Gaiford game. The page details the release date as November 19th, priced at 5,800 yen, and mentions it is an interactive movie game where you use cards in story mode to defeat Crown's ambitions. The story synopsis describes Crown as a secret evil organization abusing science, led by a genius scientist Minos, who created the cyborg Gaiford. Crown seeks to dominate the world, and their influence extends to martial artist Fuma Go, who was turned into the cyborg Gaiborg. The hero, Gaiford, fights against Crown to stop their evil plans. This page is all about the Sega Saturn game Gaiford, the great decisive battle of evil and justice. It details the game's story mode, which is described as a side story not told in the TV series. The story mode involves you, as Gaiford, stopping the ambitions of Kurun, beginning with a prologue and leading you to infiltrate a base. Expect minigames and lots of enemies. The page also explains what Gaiford is, describing him as a cyborg body fused with Farah, capable of incredible evolution and wielding elemental powers of earth, wood, metal, fire, water, and wind. There's a card battle mode where you use cards collected in story mode to power up your characters and items in battles, and a final illustration mode with around 50 Gaiford illustrations and design materials. Screenshots show gameplay and character stats for Hayami, Jerks, Gaiford, and Scion, highlighting attack, defense, and speed attributes. The mode flow is presented as prologue, Kuron base, and epilogue, outlining the game's progression. This page is a preview for Wizardry Lilgamen Saga on Sega Saturn, described as a remake of the original Wizardry trilogy. The Saturn version boasts enhanced features not found in the PlayStation version, aiming to be the definitive edition of the Lilgamen Saga. New features highlighted include a monster and item encyclopedia, allowing players to view collected monsters and items in a visual file format. Auto-mapping is another addition, displaying 3D dungeons in 2D for easier navigation. A classic style mode lets players experience the game with graphics reminiscent of the original PC version. A new bonus dungeon called Bonus Dungeon of Monsters is also featured. Players can also switch between Japanese and English messages. The game is set to be released on November 26th, priced at 5,800 yen, and is an RPG suitable for one player of all ages. It's emphasized as a complete package that even newcomers to the series can enjoy. Wizardry 6, Bane of the Cosmic Forge, presented as Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord on Sega Saturn, is highlighted as a classic RPG set in Zelnard, where players must reclaim a stolen title from the sorcerer Werdna. The game blends simplicity with depth, offering player freedom in character creation and party building. Ligaman's town serves as a central hub with vital locations: Gilgamesh's Tavern for party formation, Kanto Temple for healing, Adventurer's Inn for rest and level-ups, and Boltak's Trading Post for item management. Character creation in the training grounds emphasizes maximizing bonus points. Dungeon exploration involves utilizing elevators and navigating hazards. Gameplay tips include creating disposable dummy characters to amass starting gold due to initial scarcity. The game encourages resourceful play to overcome early financial constraints. This page focuses on Wizardry Gaiden, Knight of Diamonds for the Sega Saturn, the second scenario in the Wizardry Gaiden series, aimed at expert players who have already conquered the previous game, Word Sana. The story continues, with players needing to protect the town of Lilgamine from attacks by finding the Nilda's staff and ultimately defeating the evil god, Dal Bulls. The game promises deeper dungeon exploration with 6 underground levels filled with more complex puzzles. A key feature highlighted is the collection of KOD's items, which are described as magic-infused legendary knight equipment, with 5 types defined by defeating monsters. Character progression from the previous game can be carried over, and new item types like coin, stone, ring, and amulet are introduced. Gameplay will also feature boss characters at each level and quiz challenges. The page also includes tips for dungeon exploration covering topics such as understanding job classes and abilities, party composition based on character attributes, the job change system which resets characters to level 1 while retaining some stats, strategic combat formations, and even the implications of interacting with friendly monsters which can influence your character's alignment. Wizardry Gaiden, Legacy of Lilgamen for Sega Saturn, the third scenario in the series, emphasizes puzzle solving and intricate level design with attribute-based floors, requiring strategic party composition with good and evil characters. A unique ceremony of passage resets characters to level 1, and the abundance of lakes and seas hints at underwater exploration mysteries. The game features a Wizardry Basics lecture, clarifying that total annihilation means true death, though resurrection is possible. Gameplay tips recommend magic-based classes like Lord, Samurai, Ninja, and Bishop for expert characters and easier early gameplay. Bishops are crucial for item appraisals despite slow leveling. The article advises strategic party builds and utilizing the Ceremony of Passage to transfer expert characters, encouraging players to craft their own legendary adventures across the 3 scenarios. This page is an advertisement for Capcom Generation Volume 4. Koku no Ayu, Lone Hero, for Sega Saturn, which is a compilation of 3 arcade games, Commando, Mercs, and Gunsmoke. The page highlights that this 4th volume in the Capcom Generation series features Lone Hero as its theme and brings together these action shooting titles. The text emphasizes the nostalgic value of these action shooting games, stating they provide excitement beyond generations and faithfully recreate the original arcade experience as a reproduction version with added value. The page lists key information such as it being a Capcom release, currently on sale, priced at 5,800 yen, and categorized as Variety. A section titled, The Secret to Victory is to Defeat Each Enemy One by One, describes the gameplay, focusing on the shot mechanics being linked to the player character's direction in 8 directions, and the use of grenades to attack enemies hidden behind obstacles that shots cannot penetrate. It emphasizes the strategic element of shot angle consideration and the balance created by these attack methods for a unique tension and gameplay experience. Screenshots from the games are shown to illustrate the vertical scrolling action and gameplay scenarios. This page is a preview for the Sega Saturn game Wolf of the Battlefield 2, known internationally as Commando 2. It highlights several key features and improvements over the original Wolf of the Battlefield game. The game boasts increased freedom of movement, allowing for a wider range of strategies compared to the previous fixed, one-direction scrolling. It also supports up to 3-player simultaneous play using a multi-tap adapter. The preview emphasizes mastering item usage, noting that various items can be acquired in the game. These range from power-ups that increase shot firepower to different weapon types like flamethrowers and shotguns. Items also exist to restore player energy and increase maximum energy capacity. A core gameplay mechanic is described as shot distribution, implying the player needs to skillfully utilize different shot directions. This is highlighted as a key characteristic of Gun.Smoke, which is also mentioned on the page as a forced vertical scrolling action shooting game, where utilizing 6 different shot directions is crucial for survival. Items are hidden within barrels, and obtaining them can enhance shot performance and player movement speed. However, some items may reduce player abilities. There's a collection mode mentioned, suggesting added value for fans with features like art, profiles, tips, cast and sound options, and secrets related to the game Wolf of the Battlefield. This page is an advertisement for the Sega Saturn game Chaos Seed. Feng Shui Geomancy Record. It highlights the game as a dungeon-raising simulation that is reappearing as part of the Satokale Saturn Collection series. The page showcases screenshots of both the simulation and action gameplay elements of Chaos Seed. The simulation screenshot shows a dungeon management interface, while the action screenshot displays combat within a dungeon environment. The text emphasizes that Chaos Seed is a unique game where you dig holes underground to create dungeons and raise them. It blends simulation, action, RPG, and adventure genres. It also mentions that even for beginners, the game is accessible due to its helpful in-game guidance. The advertisement states the game is 100% complete and is being released by Neverland Company on December 10th for 2,800 yen. It is described as a dungeon creation simulation and is for 1 player. The bottom of the page announces that more information and setting materials will be available in the magazine 3 pages later. This page is a preview of the Sega Saturn game Chaos Seed. It focuses on the unique dungeon creation aspect of the game, which is called Cave Mansion Dungeon Creation. The game revolves around a protagonist who is a cave hermit who heals the land, and the dungeon itself is a special dungeon created by the hermit. The page highlights the elemental growth system, where the dungeon's environment and the elements of fire, earth, metal, water, and wood change with each turn. It emphasizes strategic dungeon building and resource management. The warehouse utilization section explains how players can store items, since there's a limit to what can be carried, and upgraded warehouses can increase storage capacity. The Feng Shui menu is also featured, suggesting players need to understand the elemental flow and placement of rooms to optimize their dungeon. Screenshots show in-game interfaces, dungeon layouts, and gameplay scenarios. The preview suggests that careful planning and understanding the game's mechanics are crucial for success. This page is an article providing a story-based strategy guide for the Sega Saturn game A Girl Who Chants Love at the Bound of This World. It emphasizes that the game's future is in the player's hands due to its branching narratives. The heroine is introduced as someone who helps the protagonist, understands him, and is skilled in cooking. The article highlights the changing endings, using Scenario 6, Sealed Door, as an example where player choices lead to different outcomes. Scenario 4, Worry of Chi Person, is another example of branching storylines based on player decisions in towns and dialogues. The combat section focuses on player agency, stating that victories are achieved through the player's own actions, emphasizing strategic combat using energy and magic. The game world promises various encounters, mentioning characters like Royal Palace Illusion, who appears as a child but has past memories due to reincarnation, indicating a world filled with diverse characters that shape the story. This page is an advertisement for the upcoming release of the Chaos Seed Setting Material Collection for the Sega Saturn. This official collection, planned for February 1999, will be over 160 pages and contain character introductions, rough sketches, illustrations, and comments from illustrators for the Chaos Seed game. It will feature interviews with developers, voice actors, and character designers Funato Akari and Utsuki Kaoru, detailing the game's development from its Super Famicom origins to the Saturn version, and including previously untold stories. New illustrations from both Funato and Otsuki are also promised, possibly including comics and posters. The page also announces a call for fan questions about Chaos Seed to be included in the collection, with prizes offered such as setting books and a life-size heroine poster for selected participants. Readers are encouraged to send in their questions by December 30th, 1998. This page is an advertisement for the Sega Saturn RPG Grandia Memorial Package. It highlights Grandia as a highly acclaimed RPG for Saturn users and announces a new Memorial Package edition. This new version is priced lower at 4,200 yen and features a special jacket. The advert emphasizes the game's excellent battles, skill system, CG movies, and engaging scenario. It also mentions that Grandia remains popular even a year after its release. The page showcases an illustration of the main characters, Justin and Fina, and includes details like the release date of November 26th, single-player RPG gameplay, and the game being on 2 CD-ROMs. Finally, a message from the developer expresses gratitude for Grandia's positive reception and confirms that development for Grandia 2 on Dreamcast is underway. Grandia is lauded for its remarkable features. Its battle system blends real-time and command-based mechanics using an IP gauge, allowing for strategic skill development in magic and weapons. The game boasts stunning, immersive CG movies by Lynx, particularly the impactful opening sequence. Polygon-based backgrounds offer 360-degree rotation and a warm, hand-drawn aesthetic, enabling extensive exploration with a rotatable camera, even during battles. Finally, Grandia's captivating scenario, though lengthy at around 70 hours, keeps players engrossed in a boy's adventure filled with unexpected twists and a compelling narrative from start to finish. The next page previews the Sega Saturn game Grandia, highlighting dramatic scenes of farewells, encounters, and emotional moments in Justin's adventure. The article presents key story points, like Justin's departure from home, his journey to the end of the world, and a perilous situation hinted at with the phrase, "Justin dies?" It emphasizes the narrative focus on character relationships and significant events that shape Justin's growth. The page also introduces the Grandia Digital Museum, described as a supplementary disc for Grandia. This disc is presented as a data collection and bonus content package, featuring game data, monster graphics, character art, and even minigames. The price of the Grandia Digital Museum is mentioned as 3,500 yen, marketed as a worthwhile purchase for fans to further enjoy the world of Grandia. This page previews the upcoming Sega Saturn and Dreamcast game Grandia and its music. In Grandia, a key emotional scene involves Sue leaving the party due to exhaustion, as Justin and Fina prepare for East Alencia and new companions. Grandia 2 on Dreamcast is announced with a major graphical overhaul, moving to full polygon graphics for characters and backgrounds, offering a more mature storyline and new characters. Battle scenes will be flashier with enhanced magic effects. The game features 8 minigames, including deck cleaning, with special items as rewards for top players. The page also details 3 Grandia music releases: Grandia Original Soundtracks, popular orchestral and synth game music; Vent Grandia Arrange Version, piano arrangements by Noriyuki Iwadare; and Grandia Original Soundtracks 2 inches, soundtrack with unrecorded tracks. A powerful battle scene image from Grandia 2 emphasizes the graphical advancements. This page is an advertisement for Sankyo's Fever 3 pachinko game on Sega Saturn, highlighting it as a real machine simulation with amazing beauty. It introduces 2 characters: Yume-Chan, a famous girl known to pachinko players who is now dressed as a witch, and her younger sister, Nana-chan, who debuted in '98 and is part of the Baton Club, calling big wins with her baton. The page emphasizes the sister charm and boasts about the game's features. Several Fever pachinko machine models are detailed. Fever Super 9JX from early '98 focuses on high probability, while Fever Magical Dream Yume-Chan from summer '98 features a 223.51 probability and 80 rounds of big wins. Fever Big Time from autumn '98 is highlighted as the newest model, with a 200.51 probability and various win amounts. A Fever Powerful 2i from '92 is mentioned as a standard digital machine, and Fever Queen 2 is described as a current popular model with a 254/1 probability. The advert also details gameplay aspects like setting probability and nails, game data viewing, and strategic mode. It claims that 90% of Sankyo digital machines are on Saturn, emphasizing the appeal for pachinko fans, as it includes popular models like Powerful and Queen, promising an engaging simulation experience. Now, the advert also states that there is no Pachinko Pro mode, but as a simulation it's more than adequate. The software is priced at 5,800 yen and was released on November 26th. This page highlights 3 upcoming Sega Saturn games. First is Dragon Legend Elandor, a 3D fighting action game where humans ride dragons in aerial battles. It's described as being 100% complete and is coming out on January 14, 1999, priced at 5,800 yen. The game features 10 playable characters, and battles take place in the sky. Screenshots show polygon-based graphics and action gameplay. Next is Device Rain, an adventure SLG game from the developers of Kyukyoku Tiger, praised for its strong storyline. It's 70% complete and scheduled for spring 1999 release, also priced at 5,800 yen. The story focuses on everyday high school life before the protagonist gets caught up in a larger incident. Screenshots show an isometric view with character dialogue and scenes within a house. Finally, there's Farland Saga, Toki no Michishirube, a comical fantasy simulation RPG, 99% complete, and set for release on December 17th. The regular edition is priced at 6,800 yen, and the limited edition at 7,800 yen. This is a sequel to the popular Farland Saga series, moving from PC to Saturn. The protagonist is Corinne, a magic user from the previous game, now 8 years older. The gameplay seems to revolve around adventure and solving incidents with new companions. Screenshots showcase tactical battles, character interactions, and event scenes, including a slightly risque bath scene. This Sega Saturn magazine page, reviewing games from November 13th-19th, features a review of the romance-adventure game Shizen, which scored an average of 6.3310. Reviewers highlighted enjoyable stories, but criticized outdated graphics and slow response. Opinions varied, with praise for scenario and characters from some, and criticism of the repetitive gameplay system from others. The page also introduces Idol Janshi Tsuchipai Mecha Genteiban Limited Edition, a 5th anniversary release with added features. This month's Satakore, November edition, lists upcoming games releasing on November 19th. Street Fighter Zero 2 feet, All Japan Pro Wrestling featuring Virtua, and Side Pocket 3 feet. Finally, the RPG Grandia Memorial Package is mentioned with a November 26th release date, praised for its detailed world and refined battle system. This preview of the Sega Saturn game Slayers Royal 2 offers gameplay tips within Leonard City, the royal capital, known for its legends. Players are advised to maintain a full inventory, especially with food, due to potential backtracking issues, and to prioritize acquiring strong weapons and armor early on. The preview details a quest where Lena and her party must deliver a secret letter from Greg of the Dorthout Magic Guild to the elusive Milfui in Leonard City. Milfui is rumored to be working part-time jobs across the city, requiring players to gather clues from various locations like inns and pubs. Dialogue snippets and screenshots hint at her connection to the Magic Guild. Adding intrigue, a hooded magician named Figal emerges as a threat, potentially linked to the Leonard Magic Guild, and becomes a target for investigation after Milfoy is located. This page is a strategy guide focusing on a part of a role-playing game. The main title urges the player to stop the completion of Forbidden Life research and prepare for the final battle with Figal. The guide discusses the game's narrative, mentioning that the research into Chimera in the Reynard Kingdom is still ongoing, despite being forbidden. The guide provides gameplay tips, advising players to wait until the 5th, 15th, or 25th of the month to meet Melina, who works part-time at the bar. It details events occurring at locations such as the bar and Central Street in Reynard City. There are also screenshots depicting conversations and gameplay situations in areas like the Tower Front, bar, and Central Square. The page highlights a storyline branch where the player must decide which tower to attack first, the North Tower or the East Tower, after reuniting with Zalgadis in Milnheim. The locations mentioned in the guide seem to be interconnected in a map-like diagram, showing paths between Milnheim, Backstreet, Dolthout, Levenberg, Reynard City, and Central Street, with towers potentially located at the ends of these paths. The guide hints at encountering characters like elves in the North and East Towers. It also mentions gathering information about the towers which are sealed. The next page is a strategy guide focused on the main route to the final boss for the Sega Saturn game Slayers Wonderful, which was a Japanly release. It details a walkthrough divided into sections for areas such as the North Tower, East Tower, Southern Mountain Range, Lagrinia Lake Cave, and the final boss encounter. The guide provides gameplay hints, character names like Lena, Naga, Lark, Sylphiel, Zelgadis, and Alicia, and outlines paths to follow within locations to obtain sealed orbs and items like Orichalcon and a sword. It mentions battles against Naga enemies and advises on the final boss battle, highlighting the strength of magic attacks and the need for healing. The guide also indicates branching paths and 2 possible endings depending on player choices, specifically mentioning whether or not the player explains the situation to Sylphiel. This page is a strategy guide for the dating simulation game Virtual Call S on Sega Saturn, which was never released outside of Japan. The guide focuses on pinpoint attacks in love and party line conversation techniques to win over the characters. It looks like a walkthrough or tips section, offering dialogue options for different stages of dating various characters in the game. The page is divided into sections for each chapter and round of dating. There are tables listing suggested conversation choices for characters like Miyako, Madoka, Ayaka, Chisato, and Rua during first, second, third, and fourth dates, aiming to improve your relationship with them. This page is a strategy guide page from a Sega Saturn magazine focusing on romance simulation games, specifically featuring 2 characters, Ruria Ebihara and Miyako Sakura. The page provides attack charts, or walkthroughs, for how to successfully romance these characters within their respective games, outlining a series of steps and choices to make. For Ruria Ebihara, the guide starts with a 2-shot photo opportunity, followed by attending a PL event to receive a voicemail message. Listening to this voicemail leads to a date at the movie theater. Further steps involve more dates and phone calls to ultimately reach a confession. Gameplay tips highlight the importance of acting like a child and not being overly childish. For Miyako Sakura, the guide also begins with a 2-shot photo, followed by free time, then calling Miyako to arrange a date. Further free time and phone calls ensue, leading to listening to a voicemail from Miyako and going on another date, finally culminating in a confession. Tips for Miyako emphasize acting shy, pure, and like a young boy, and consistently portraying her as cute. The guide uses flowcharts to visually represent the steps to romance each character, and includes screenshots from the games to illustrate different scenarios and character interactions. It seems to be designed to help players navigate the dating simulation mechanics and achieve successful romantic outcomes with Ruria and Miyako. This page is a strategy guide for the Sega Saturn game Kotonos Sayanji, also known as Farland's Story, Ark of the Covenant. It introduces the character Yuno Sayanji, depicting her as a naive and sheltered girl who is learning about the world and relationships. The page includes a Yuno Murjin attack chart, essentially a romance guide outlining the steps to dating her. It details the importance of the first date, emphasizing choosing the right dialogue options when shopping for cups together to build a good relationship. The page also highlights a significant event around the 6th playthrough, involving Windy and Prisha. This event reveals secrets about their past and explores themes of love between programs and humans. The guide mentions finding an old VHG, which triggers this event, leading to a date with Windy and the player. The narrative suggests a potentially tragic love story. Screenshots of the game and character dialogues are included to illustrate these points. This page is a strategy guide, focusing on how to romance the character Mitsumi Arisugawa. It outlines a step-by-step, fastest attack chart to win her over, starting with making phone calls after certain in-game events referred to as Place 1, PL2, PL3, and so on. The guide emphasizes phone calls as the primary method of communication, highlighting key points to progress the relationship. It mentions that leaving messages is important if she doesn't answer during points 4 and 8. Dates are also crucial, with specific locations like Old VHG and the Sea being mentioned for points 5, 6, and 9, where events will occur. The guide culminates in a confession as the final step to successfully romance Mitsumi. It appears to be a dating simulation game, where choices between Seishin Girls Academy or Wonder Police might lead to different paths or events. This page is a strategy guide for the Sega Saturn game Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, focusing on the character Mech Guki, known internationally as Cyber Akuma. It details how to unlock Mech Guki mode by clearing survival mode, and how to select him on the character select screen. The guide explains Mech Guki's character performance, highlighting his powerful special moves which are stronger than normal Guki, particularly in the air. It also lists some of his special moves and hyper combos with button inputs, such as Mecha Gao Hadouken and Shining Gao Shock. The page also provides gameplay tips, suggesting to use Omega Red or Shuma Gorath as partners to make clearing survival mode easier, and advises players to run away and recover health when low on health during fights. This page is a strategy guide focusing on recommended, easy-to-execute, and high-damage combos for various characters in what seems to be a fighting game on the Sega Saturn. The guide lists a range of characters, predominantly from the Marvel Universe and Street Fighter series, such as Ryu, Chun-Li, Akuma, Ken, Dhalsim, Zangief, M. Bison, Sakura, and Dan. It also includes Marvel characters like Cyclops, Spider-Man, Captain America, Shuma Gorath, Wolverine, Hulk, Blackheart, and Omega Red, along with some unique or variant characters like Mecha Zangief, Shadow, and Mecha Guki. For each character, a brief description is provided, along with a table detailing a recommended combo, using fighting game notation, outlining button presses, and directional inputs to perform effective and powerful attacks in the game. This page is a strategy guide for the Sega Saturn game, Falcom Classics 2, Temple of the Sun. It's part 1 of a 2-part guide, with this section focusing on the early stages of the game, as the Temple of the Sun is described as being difficult. The guide uses a flowchart to show players the order of locations to visit: Hermitage, High Priest's Tomb, Castillo, Southern Spring, Warrior Shrine, Caracol, and Warrior Shrine again. Each location lists items that can be found there, and some locations are marked with Dead Rock as a warning of potential game overs. The guide also explains key gameplay mechanics, like needing to unbury items to find other items, the importance of the gold stand item, and how moon phases can affect gameplay. Screenshots show in-game locations and item selection screens. The guide mentions that the next issue will cover YS2. This page is a strategy guide for an adventure game on the Sega Saturn. It provides walkthrough information for several areas identified by numbers and names, such as Caracol, Thousand Pillar Room, Ballroom, and Castillo Rio. The guide details specific actions and items needed to progress through these areas, like placing items in certain locations and solving puzzles. There are warnings about game over scenarios if certain steps are missed, particularly in the ballroom section. The guide also mentions the importance of investigation. At the bottom of the page is an advertisement for a Falcom Classics 2-time attack contest, featuring the games Wise 2 Feet and the Temple of the Sun. It describes how to participate by submitting clear times for these games. This page is a strategy guide for the Sega Saturn game, Cotton Boomerang. It focuses on stages 6 and 7 and includes boss strategy tips. The page highlights a newly revealed training mode that allows players to practice any stage. For stage 6, Abe Cobeles, described as a bizarre castle where everything is inverted, including gravity, the guide suggests understanding the changing environment. For stage 7, Tic Tac Space, the page asks if just defeating the boss is easy enough for the final stage. It introduces Wool, the final boss, who is described as easier compared to other stage bosses, like a bonus boss. The guide gives tips on how to defeat Wool, noting that punch attacks are effective. It details Wool's attack patterns, including lasers and icicles, and advises players to use punch attacks and focus on hitting Wool's head when vulnerable. It also suggests sticking close to Wool's to continuously punch. This strategy guide provides 1-point advice for stages 2 to 5. Stage 2, Arrow Castle, emphasizes magic attacks against enemies behind walls due to narrow passages. For boss Zakarashu, use wide shots and specific movement. Mid-boss requires evading lasers, slams, up-down, and command shots. Target the stage boss's head to avoid bullet scattering. Stage 3, Pirate Island, focuses on shot level up. Collect items hidden in the mid-boss ship parts. Target the lowest mid-boss form. For the boss, use punches to clear bullets and attack up front with magic. Command shot above its head during the final charge. Stage 4, Piki Piki Labyrinth, is about strategic ice pillar breaking. Defeat the first enemy for a crystal. Quickly defeat chained mid-boss enemies from below. Punch the boss repeatedly when it holds jewels, and use command shots when it throws them. Stage 5, Achichi Canyon, warns about attacks from behind, attack from above, due to narrow paths. Use command shots in backward scrolling sections. Beware mid-boss tail attacks. Use magic. For the boss, use magic against falling rock item carriers. Evade bottom left attacks, and use command shots on rock/lava enemies for chain reactions, then attack the boss. This page focuses on Urawaza, or hidden techniques and secrets within Dreamcast games. There's a call for players to submit their own Urawaza specifically for Sega Saturn games, with prizes offered like Dreamcast games and bookstore vouchers for the best submissions. The page features a section called Virtual Call S that provides phone numbers to call for in-game hints and secrets. These phone services offer tips on increasing heroin affection, accessing mini-games such as horse racing and shooting games, and even accessing a sound test mode in certain games. A feature on Invincible Wrestler spotlights Virtua Fighter and reveals a cheat for VS mode, where players can become invincible after being knocked down by pressing A, B, or C. Another section, Make Mahjong Tiles, details how players can unlock extra Mahjong tiles in a game, with 12 different tile types available by meeting specific conditions. A table in the free battle mode section shows the point requirements for unlocking Mahjong tiles featuring various characters, including Mary, Rei, Asuka, Jun, Noriko, Kazumi, Misato, Nadia, and Shinji, along with some tile set names like Pink Flower Garden and Indigo Blue. This Dreamcast Magazine page from Sega AM3 Research previews the stadium course for the game Dirt Devils Rush 2 series. It serves as a course guide, dividing the intermediate track into 6 sections: corners 1, 2 to 3, 4, and final, a straight section, and a jumping spot. Tips are provided for each, including speed advice, turn navigation, and obstacle avoidance. The first corner is for full speed entry, the second and third are banked right turns requiring control, and the straight contains water puddles. The fourth is a banked left with puddles, while the final corner is tight with a shortcut, but risky outside. The jump requires straight entry for safe landing. The guide highlights the importance of the final corner and straights for gaining an edge. A shortcut exists, and players are advised to be mindful of contact over strict racing lines. The course is a figure-8 layout featuring buses, water puddles, and the jump, increasing difficulty compared to beginner tracks. The next page is an Arcade Express feature, Volume 33, showcasing the game Soul Calibur by Namco. The tagline is, "One swing of the sword creates a silent scream." It highlights Soul Calibur as a 3D weapon-based fighting game currently in operation in arcades and available for competitive play. The page details the basic game system, illustrating the button layout with B, K, A, and G for vertical attack, horizontal attack, kick, and guard, respectively. It describes guard impact as a crucial defensive system that can change the flow of battle. Successfully performing a guard impact allows players to deflect opponents' attacks and create an opening for counterattacks. Aerial control is also featured, emphasizing its importance to prevent ringouts, a signature element of the Soul Calibur series, where falling off the stage results in immediate defeat regardless of health. The page shows screenshots demonstrating guard impact and aerial control in action. The next page showcases Arcade Express and focuses on the Dreamcast game Soul Calibur. It details key gameplay mechanics such as the 8WAYRUN system, which allows for free movement in all directions around the battlefield, emphasizing its importance for weapon reach and strategic positioning. The page also highlights special inputs like Soul Charge, slide inputs, and hold moves as crucial advanced techniques. Screenshots demonstrate these features with characters like Nightmare, Yoshimitsu, Astaroth, Lizardman, Huang, and Siegfried in action. Furthermore, the page introduces new challengers that appear over time in the game, mentioning characters like Seongmina, Rock, and Yoshimitsu, noting their unique fighting styles and backgrounds, such as Seongmina's long reach with her Najinata and Rock's powerful attacks. It mentions that characters from other Namco franchises, like Tekken and Soul Edge, will also make appearances. Finally, it touches upon third colors, alternative character color palettes, available for Sophidia, Xianghua, Maxi, and Voldo, accessible by selecting the third color option and pressing the K button. The page concludes with a message from Namco encouraging players to try out the game and discover its features, mentioning that more information can be found on the Namco Wonder page. This Spike Out, Digital Battle Online Strategy Guide, Basic Arts for Spike Out, emphasizes avoiding being surrounded due to enemies attacking from all directions, and promotes one-on-one combat. It details 4 key techniques. Charge attacks, particularly level 3, effectively knock down enemies for follow-up attacks, with BBB to C as a basic combo. Special attacks, B plus C plus J, should be used strategically for area clears to maximize score bonuses, and grapples enable special throws. The foot sweep attack, B plus C, is a wide-ranging knockdown move ideal when surrounded. Throwing provides invincibility and clears surrounding enemies, serving as both a defensive escape and an offensive maneuver. especially effective against clustered foes for group damage. The guide is illustrated with in-game screenshots demonstrating each technique. This page is all about mastering throwing techniques in Spike Out Digital Battle Online. The page emphasizes that throws are crucial for victory in the game, highlighting 3 key aspects of throws: their high attack power, their ability to gather enemies, and the invincibility during the throw animation. It explains the benefits of throws, stating they allow players to defeat enemies quickly with fewer attacks, reduce enemy counterattacks, and provide safety during execution. The page provides a guide on how to perform throws, specifically for the character Linda, detailing the button inputs as BBC and mentioning the body blow X2 combo. It then breaks down throwing techniques into 3 steps: initiating a grab with BB, setting up the BBC input for a body blow combination, and finally performing a jump throw to clear out crowds. The guide also gives advice for cooperative play, recommending that teammates stay within visible range of each other to coordinate attacks and revives, and to use combination attacks by grabbing a teammate and pressing B+C+ jump to launch a special attack. The page encourages players to use throws effectively to dominate Spike Out. This page from Dreamcast Magazine introduces the playable characters Spike and White from the Dreamcast game Dynamite Cop, known in Japan as Dynamite Dika 2. Spike, a former boxer from New York, excels in powerful, long-reach attacks. White, also from New York and an Army veteran, is faster but has a shorter reach. The page highlights their strengths and weaknesses, detailing gameplay tips and showcasing manic combo examples for advanced players, alongside screenshots of in-game fighting action and developer comments. This page introduces 2 characters from the fighting game Fighting Vipers. First up is Tenshin, a cool-headed and quiet fighter known for his wide attack range due to his long limbs, though his attacks can be slower. The character selection tip highlights his extensive attack range, but notes his attacks can be somewhat slow. A combo is introduced using button combinations B+J and C+J, and developers comment that Tenshin is strong because of his wide attack range, especially his level 3 C's attack, effective against tricky opponents. Next is Linda, a bright and cheerful character who is a good listener, specializing in utilizing her long legs in her fighting style. The character selection tip points out her long reach, but her attacks can leave openings. A more complex combo is shown using B+J, C+J, and level 4 C's attack. The developers mention Linda is unique, sometimes confusing punch and kick inputs, but she's very speedy with a long reach, making her easy to use for beginners. This page from the Sega AMR&D Department No. 1 official corner is focused on Dynamite Deka 2, known internationally as Dynamite Cop or Die Hard Arcade 2. The feature highlights Stage 5, North Sea, also known as the Ocean Hunter. The stage is set in a frigid, ice-covered North Sea, where divers are attacked by unusual creatures. The article mentions that the jellyfish swarms in this cold sea are a must-see. Developed by AM1, the enemy check section details the stage enemies, parasitic eels, which are small and difficult to hit, and numerous jellyfish. It's noted that damage to enemies is focused on the torso. The stage boss is K. Aruki Inos, a giant crab inhabiting the cold sea, which attacks with claws and legs. Players are advised to target its torso, and be aware that upon taking damage, it will approach and attack the eyes. The article suggests aiming for the eyes in a back-and-forth manner during the fight with Karkinos. The next page shows the Dreamcastrology Weekly Horoscope for November 13th to November 19th. It features horoscopes for each zodiac sign from Aries to Pisces, providing insights into fortune, health, love, and work, along with advice. Each zodiac section also has a boy and girl illustration representing the sign. For example, Aries advises wearing white with red stripes and says preparation is key, while Taurus suggests wine red and valuing older things to bring luck. Gemini advises saving money and focusing on hobbies, while Cancer suggests natural colors in conversations. Leo encourages a positive attitude and strong faith, and Virgo warns against overspending and potential headaches. Libra suggests gold and foreign writing for good fortune, Scorpio indicates spending money and potential health issues, and Sagittarius suggests yellow and handmade items. Capricorn advises white or cream colors and focusing on slightly higher places. Aquarius recommends orange and bright places, and Pisces encourages yellow, green, and garden-like items. The page also has a section called This Week's Lucky San, featuring an image of a person, described as Editrice Kondo from Dream Magazine, born on January 29th at Aquarius. It mentions that luck will improve in the latter half of the week, but to be careful about accidents from encounters and separations. This page is an advertisement for the upcoming issue of Dreamcast Magazine, issue number 3, scheduled for release on November 20th. It highlights a special 34-page feature on Virtua Fighter 3 TB and promises comprehensive coverage of Godzilla Generations. There's also information on the movie Mothra 3 King Ghidorah Advent, including a Dream Battle feature and present giveaways. The page also promotes a Dreamcast purchase guide. The magazine will include details on games like Project Berkeley, which is Sonic Adventure, Sega Rally 2, Climax Landers known as Time Stalkers, internationally God Machine World Evolution, likely referencing Evolution, The World of Sacred Device, Blue Stinger, and Pendulum Triathlon. Saturn titles mentioned are Sakura Wars, Find Love 2 Rhapsody, Wizardry Rilga Min Saga, alongside a complete strategy guide for Sega Saturn software. A staff list for the magazine is also present, and contact information is provided for inquiries regarding the content. The image prominently features Godzilla and Mothra, visually reinforcing the Godzilla Generations and Mothra movie coverage. This page is an advertisement for the PC and Sega Saturn game Girl Doll Toy. It's described as a fantastic adventure and a PC game hit. The advert highlights it's finally coming to Sega Saturn. It features artwork of anime-style characters, including girls named Erika, Shisaki, and Azami. There's also a GDT pre-order campaign mentioned, which seems to offer a badge set as a pre-order bonus for reserving the game at stores. The text also suggests the game is about cyborg girls and romance. This page showcases an advertisement for Grandia Memorial Package for Sega Saturn, scheduled for release on November 26th, priced at 4,200 yen. It highlights the game having won awards and mentions a new package design. The page also promotes 2 classic Sega Saturn titles from Treasure, Silhouette Mirage and Chaos Seed. Silhouette Mirage is described as a game where you reverse the polarized world to return it to normal and play as Shanina to fulfill a mission. Chaos Seed is described as a Feng Shui commanding strategy game where you build a cave in the land to revitalize the Dragon Vein and embark on a journey to defeat a mysterious enemy. The advertisement indicates that these 2 Treasure titles will be available together as a set, ESP Masterpiece 2 titles, for 2,800 yen and will be released on December 10, 1998. There is also mention of an event at Messe Sano Main Store 2Fs in Akihabara and Osaka for ESP original goods, with positive reviews highlighted.